Hi there everybody, hope you're doing well. So today's video is for all students taking the August SCS exam, the August 2026 SCS exam, or even if you're taking any SCS exam in the upcoming year, even early into the next year. This video will be highly helpful for you because it helps you run through all the important parts of the strategic case study exam, start to finish. It's tailored for the August exam, yes, but then the prerequisites of the exam, the starting point of the exam, what the exam is, what the exam focuses on, all of those details will be useful for anybody who's taking the strategic case study exam. So what we decided was, let's create one ultimate interactive guide. Let's create one ultimate interactive video which runs you through every single part of the exam. Not different sections, or not something which is just a touch and go of the important areas, but running you through everything in detail from start to end about your exam. So even if you're beginning your study today, right now, when you're watching this video, if you watch the entire video, I can guarantee it runs you through all the important areas of the exam in one place. So rather than moving here, there and everywhere, it's one video, one guide to run you through everything that's important. So this screen that you see, which I'm sharing, is the actual ultimate interactive guide page, the interactive page. The link to access this interactive page is in the description below. Now when you access the description below, there will be a link. If you click on it, this same page which I am sharing right now will become available for you, and you will be able to scroll through it, follow through it at your own pace, and learn through it at your own pace as well. But in this video, I am going to guide you and hold your hand through the entire process to make sure that we understand what the SCS is. Start to end, one place, free for yours to read at your own pace. Naturally, the starting point will be, what is the SCS exam? Now, this is your final case study exam within the CIMA professional qualification. So the SCS tests your ability to apply E3, P3 and F3 knowledge in a realistic business scenario. Now CIMA, as part of this exam, is giving you the role of a senior finance manager who is working closely with the board of directors, with the senior management. Now, do you think that a person who is sitting as a senior finance professional would repeatedly open up in daily life his E3, P3, F3 CIMA textbook, refer to theories every day, and then advise the board that, okay, in this textbook, in this page, in this, in this chapter, this is what the theory is, so we should apply it to our business? I don't think that happens in the real world, right? So E3, P3 and F3 is the knowledge which you need, is the technical background which you need, but this knowledge you are going to use in a very case study scenario, in a very specific scenario which they raise for you. And while helping or while suggesting to your board of directors, while providing an answer to your board of directors, you might have to use some E3, P3 and F3 knowledge to support your answer. A lot of students feel that, okay, the starting point is, let me learn everything from E3, P3 and F3. I'll mug up all the definitions and all the calculations in E3, P3 and F3, and my answers in the strategic case study exam will become good. That is not the case, because this is an exam where you have to apply your knowledge. They will raise a problem for you that, okay, the senior management now wants to decide if we should invest in this particular product. For example, I'm saying. Now, to make this investment, you will have to know your company, you will have to know your E3 model of suitability, feasibility, acceptability. For example, I'm just saying, so that you are able to apply it in that particular situation. So essentially your technical knowledge helps you with a better guide, helps you with a better creation of an answer, but it all comes down to how you apply and you actually play the role of a senior finance manager. So if you are able to play the role of a senior finance manager well, for which your E3, P3 and F3 knowledge will be used, that's where your marks lie in the strategic case study exam. So yes, the E3 pillar gives you your strategic knowledge. It's all about strategy. The P3 pillar is all about risk. The F3 pillar is all about financing, treasury management, business valuation. We will say that E3 is the most important pillar for this exam, followed by P3 and F3, both coming second. Essentially, this is an exam where you're not going to have to showcase individual topic knowledge. They'll not tell you, okay, explain the Ansof's matrix, explain what forward exchange contracts mean. No, they will raise a very scenario based question for you because you are playing the role of a senior finance manager. So as a senior finance manager, you will have to recommend, for example, which currency hedging technique is best for your business, or which direction, which growth strategy your business should follow. So you will have to know your business, plus you will have to have this technical knowledge to be able to play the role of a senior finance manager well. So the strategic case study exam is not an exam that tests your calculations, theories, how you learn everything from E3, P3 and F3. No, because real senior finance managers very, very seldom quote direct theories from textbooks. You learn it. You have that in your knowledge, have that in your mind. You then see what is best for your company and then you suggest in a way which everybody understands. That's what the senior finance manager's role is. Now this exam is sat on a computer. It's a computer based exam, but you can sit it at a Pearson VUE test center or you can sit it at home. Whichever is your preference. We have thousands of students who sit at a test center because they like the exam environment. We have some students who sit it from home as well without any issue. If you have a good technical setup, if you have a good internet connection, sitting at home can be very, very flexible for you. You can sit it from anywhere. There are 4 sittings: Feb, May, August and November. You can choose any sitting which best works for you. No one sitting is easier than the other. All are equally difficult and the best sitting is the one where you have enough time to prepare. Now this exam is currently being tested using the 2019 syllabus majorly. There are a few incorporations and a few changes within the ICANN statements and a few syllabus additions which took place from the May 2026 window. They have already been incorporated within our courses. We already have written our material on it. So you don't have to worry about any of that. Just letting you know that there was a syllabus update that occurred in 2026. So if you just see, we are giving you everything about the exam. First, your role is that of a senior finance manager. Second, the exam is computer based, 4 sittings a year. There are some prerequisites for this exam. Now, if you are coming from the traditional route, you need to sit the individual E3, P3 and F3 objective exams. Once you sit them, then you are allowed and eligible to sit the SCS exam. Now, when you sit the OTQs, you sit the E3, P3 and F3 exams, naturally you have that knowledge bank of E3, P3 and F3 with you. We already know that to be a good senior finance manager, you might have to draw on your E3, P3 and F3 knowledge. Not sums, definitions or word by word, but you have that knowledge so you can use it to influence and help the board in a better way. So if you are from the traditional route, you finish your E3, P3 and F3 exams, you have that knowledge in your mind, you then sit the SCS. You can come from the exemptions route. We have a lot of students that come from the exemptions route, which means you directly sit maybe the MCS and then the SCS. Maybe you directly go to the SCS. So depending on your prior qualifications, prior experience, CIMA might give you exemptions. So if you're sitting the SCS directly, your first goal will be to revise E3, P3 and F3 knowledge, which I will speak about later on in this interactive guide as well, because this guide helps you with everything. Whichever route, it's helping you pass the SCS. Whichever route you come from, it helps you pass the SCS exam. But we are slowly introducing everything for you step by step. So if you've come from the exemptions route, you take the SCS exam directly, you first have to work on this E3, P3 and F3 knowledge. If you're coming from the FLP route, which has become very, very popular, and we have a lot of students on this route, this is where you don't take the individual E3, P3 and F3 exams, but you still have to complete the competencies or learning goals on the CIMA FLP website. This is like gaining your E3, P3 and F3 knowledge so that you are ready to apply it, so that you are ready to sit the SCS. Now, whichever route you come from, the exam remains the same. Any route, absolutely any route that you come from, the exam remains the same for everybody. So the requisites of the exam, the details of the exam, and hence this interactive guide becomes invaluable for you, whichever route you are coming from, because the exam pillars remain the same. Now, what happens on exam day? We get a lot of questions about what exactly happens on exam day. So on exam day, we firstly have established already that we have to play the role of a senior finance manager. Now in your SCS exam, you are going to be given 3 questions which are going to be 60 minutes each. And within these 3 questions, within each of the questions, you will have multiple requirements. You will have to fulfill multiple requirements, multiple tasks. So this exam is not only a test of your technical knowledge, not only a test of your knowing your company, it's also a test about how well you can explain yourself, how well you can type, how simply you can present your answers. We're coming to that. So in the exam, you are going to be, I'll just show you what the exam screen looks like, what the exam setup looks like. I'll just introduce you to that a little bit. Now in the exam, we know that you are going to be given a role of a senior finance manager, but this senior finance manager will be working within a fictional company. Now 6-7 weeks before your strategic case study exam. So for example, if you take, we already know there are 4 windows in this exam. So before, let's say you're taking the May exam. So in the end of March, CIMA will release a fictional company which we call pre-scene. You will be given the senior finance manager role within this company. So naturally, if I want to be a good senior finance manager, I will need to know my company. So see, we are unlocking different parts of this exam. The first part that we unlocked was, if I don't have good E3, P3 and F3 knowledge, or if I don't have that starting knowledge, I can't technically support my management. Secondly, if I don't know my company itself, can I be a good senior finance manager? No. So the second pillar of this exam becomes your pre-scene company. Now the pre-scene is used over two windows. May and August has the same pre-scene material. So end of March, the pre-scene material is released, which is used for the May exam and it's used for the August exam. The company remains the same. Same way, if you're taking the November exam, then end of September, your pre-scene company will be released and the same pre-scene company information will be used for the November exam and for the February exam. So May and August, same pre-scene. November and Feb, same pre-scene. The exams though are different. Students assume that same pre-scene company. So same questions will come up in May and same questions will come up in August. That is not the case. May will have a different set of questions on the same company and August will have a different set of questions but on the same company. So May and August, same company but different questions. Same for November and Feb. So you have been given the role of a senior finance manager within a fictional company that CIMA creates. Just to give you an example, I am sharing on screen the May and August 2025 post-exam material. This is freely available on the CIMA website. I'm just sharing it with you as a guide to show you how things work. So this fictional company for May and August 2025, the name of the company CIMA said is Leothair. So it was a company which creates satellites or which designs manufacturers of satellites. So this was the fictional company which was created by CIMA and they gave you all of this information about this fictional company. So CIMA releases 20-30 odd pages about your fictional company. What is the background of the company? Where is the company situated? What is the industry of the company? What does the company do? Who are the board of directors of the company? What is the board responsibilities? What is the risk management system of the company? The financials of the company will be given to you. A competitor's financials will be given to you. All of this fictional material CIMA will create and they will give you. Now, naturally, if you want to be a good senior finance manager, you need to know everything about your company. You need to know everything about Leothair in this particular situation. Just as an example, whatever your pre-scene company is, you need to know your company in and out. Remember, right now we are only doing an introduction for this exam. I'm just giving you part by part of what this exam is. How the analysis works, how the detailing works, how to understand your company, what to look at when you're doing the pre-scene, we'll cover that for you. Don't worry, it's coming up. But right now we're just understanding this exam. So what we understood was, okay, I am playing the role of a senior finance manager. I need to know my E3, P3 and F3 technical knowledge, but in my own words. They don't want definitions, calculations, because senior finance managers don't do that in a real world situation. You will be advising the board about strategic direction, strategic problems. So okay, E3, P3 and F3 forms my base. Then I will be given a fictional company which I need to revise, which I need to go through, which I need to carefully follow. Because I am playing a senior finance manager within that company. So okay, let's say you understood what the pre-scene was. So you are given this fictional company's information which we have to go through. Now on exam day, this is going to be your first screen. You hit the next button, your exam starts. You will see that there are 3 questions. So section 1, 2 and 3. Each is worth 60 minutes. You get 60 minutes to answer each question. And once the 60 minutes are up, your answer is automatically submitted. You cannot go back and forth in this exam. First question, 60 minutes, submitted, finished. Second question, 60 minutes, submitted, finished. Third question, 60 minutes, submitted and finished. You have to go sequentially, you cannot go back and forth. Once the question is submitted, it's done. So okay, first question is 60 minutes. Now within the first question, they're asking you two things, two tasks. And then they've given you a percentage. Now what the percentage means, let's hold on to that a little bit. I will be detailing about that later on in this guide, where I'll tell you what the percentage means, how do we, signify how much to write. All of that is later on. Right now we are understanding the exam, we are understanding the pattern of the exam. So the pattern is that there are going to be 3 questions, 60 minutes each, and within each question I can have multiple requirements. For example, when you hit the next button, your timer starts. You see at the top right hand corner, 59 minutes remaining. So your timer starts going down. This is a typical exam question, what it looks like. They'll tell you that, okay, your CFO or your finance director has stopped by and this is a problem that our company is facing. Can you help me with number 1 this and number 2 this, for example. And to help you, there is an article which has been attached. They can tell you, okay, use this article. Article has been attached, news analysis has been attached, anything has been attached. So you just have to click this reference material. They've said that by clicking on the reference material above, you can access the article. So you click the reference material, something like this opens up. So you have to use this entire reference material plus the information within the question to present your answer, to present your direction. Now you see, within 60 minutes you have to read the entire question, you have to read the reference material, and then you have to provide or type out an answer for 2 tasks minimum. See, in the SCS, very majorly you will have 2 tasks only. Sometimes there can be 3 or 4 as well maximum. We have seen 3 and 4, but very recently only 2 tasks are being given. We'll tell you how to bifurcate the tasks, how to use your time well. All of that is coming up. But this is just explaining what the exam looks like, the pattern of the exam. We are just on the introduction aspects up until now, understanding the pattern of this exam. So what is the pattern? Again, there are going to be 3 questions, 60 minutes each. Within the question, they will raise a scenario, tell you, okay, this is the problem. Can you help me with this? And can you help me with this? Both of which you have to complete within 60 minutes because there will be a blank box like this. This is where you are writing your answer. And once you hit the next button, it directly takes you to your question number 2. Same process, 60 minutes, you write your answer, next button. Same process, third question, 60 minutes, reference material, you write your answer, and you finish your exam. Now this is a typical pattern of what CIMA gives within the strategic case study exam, and you will receive something like this in your exam as well. So you are playing the role of a senior finance manager in a fictional company that CIMA will release. Within this fictional company setup, there are going to be 3 questions, 60 minutes each. Each question can have multiple tasks. Ideally, there are going to be 2 tasks only, both of which completed in 60 minutes. You move to the next question, 2 tasks, 60 minutes. Move to the next question, 2 tasks, 60 minutes. This is what will be happening, or this is what will be your screen on exam day. Just letting you know so that you are not surprised and there are no surprises. So this is the pattern of the SCS exam. You see how we are slowly, steadily introducing things for you? We first told you that this exam is about E3, P3 and F3 technical knowledge to help you support the board. Secondly, we told you this exam is based on the role of a senior finance manager within a fictional company that CIMA releases, which we call as the pre-scene company. This pre-scene company is used over May and August, same window, same pre-scene. November and Feb, same window, same pre-scene. No window is easy, everything is tricky, same level. The best window for you is when you feel prepared, when you have worked well, when you have understood the intricacies of the exam. So don't worry about, okay, August is more difficult because pre-scene will change in November. If you prep well, if you know what the pillars are of this exam, then any window remains the same, and we are here to guide you. Okay, so I've understood the pattern of the exam. I know that they're going to ask me scenario based questions. I'll have to use some part of my E3, P3, F3 knowledge. I am the senior finance manager, 60 minutes for each question. I know all of that now. But the question now arises on, okay, I need to have technical knowledge. We spoke about that. But does that mean that I learn every single topic and every single area that's there in E3, P3 and F3? Do you think it's humanly possible to learn everything from E3, P3 and F3? No, right? So what CIMA has done is they have helped you narrow down the focus areas. They've helped you narrow down to the most important areas, which CIMA calls as the blueprints. Before we move to what the blueprints are, let me just give you an example. See, if you look at one of the past tasks, I'll just read the task. It says, identify and evaluate the ethical conflicts faced by our directors in this negotiation process. For example, now if you have done, or rather if you have not done your E3 revision on the CIMA Code of Ethics, what ethical conflicts are, how ethical conflicts can be resolved, then you are sitting, when you look at this task in the exam with 60 minutes timer ticking down, you are sitting there pretty much blank and scrambling to make those connections, scrambling to reach those connections and scrambling to relate things. But if you have revised your syllabus area on what the CIMA Code of Ethics are, what the ethical conflicts are, how ethical conflicts can be dealt with, then when you read this kind of task which they are asking you, then straight away that technical knowledge is there in your mind to help you start framing, start writing, and better writing and approaching your points. This is the value of technical knowledge. When you know a particular topic, when you've gone through a particular topic, and then when it comes up in the exam, our approach becomes much more confident, much more structured, because you will know, okay, I have to follow the CIMA Code of Ethics. These are the 5 codes, which is being violated over here, or this is how ethical conflicts are dealt with. Step 1, step 2, whatever the question is, you will be able to relate much better to it. You will be able to structure a much better answer. But for that, you will need to have that presence of mind and that revision done. So we understood that revision is important. It gives me confidence, it gives my answer structure, but that doesn't mean that we revise everything that's there blindly in E3, P3 and F3. Students often just pick up the E3, P3 and F3 textbook and start from page number 1 and are aiming to learn everything, aiming to go through everything. But do you think that leads to success? Very clearly we have established that yes, technical knowledge helps you, but application, writing skill, exactly understanding what they're asking you, there are various other factors which come together to help you pass this exam. But the starting point, yes, is revision. Now you'll see that the 3 things that I mentioned most important for this exam: your technical knowledge, you knowing your pre-scene company, and then you applying this knowledge in simple, easy words and presenting a professional answer, are the 3 pillars, or are the 3 intertwined pillars of this exam, which is what we are going to repeatedly keep focusing on, which we are repeatedly keep going to bringing up for you. So okay, how do I do my revision now? A lot of students face this dilemma about where to start, how much to know, do I need to know everything? This is especially the case for students who are taking their first case study exam, exemptions route, even FLP route, because you have little knowledge about what this exam is. But this interactive guide has been specifically created to help you with this. I slowly started and introduced this exam, and now I'm going into the depth about how to achieve success. So now you are given the role of a senior finance manager. To help you better, CIMA says that the role of a senior finance manager is to complete 5 major activities, which they mean to say, to do well in this exam, if you can complete 5 activities, or if you can achieve 5 activities in terms of the role of a senior finance manager, you will, or rather CIMA says that to be a good senior finance manager, these 5 roles you need to accomplish. What are these 5 roles? These 5 roles is what we are calling 5 core areas. Now there is a lot of ambiguity about, okay, what are the core areas? What are the blueprints? What does blueprints even mean? In the simplest of forms, CIMA is telling you that you do these 5 jobs well, you will pass the exam. So what are these 5 core areas? For a senior finance manager, he should be able to accomplish these 5 core areas. The first core area is develop business strategy, which means as a senior finance manager, you should be able to develop business strategy. Second, evaluate the business ecosystem and the environment. So as a senior finance manager, you should be able to understand the business's ecosystem, the environment. Third, you should be able to recommend proper finance strategies. Fourth, you should be able to mitigate risk. And fifth, you should be able to maintain a sound control environment. Now, if you look at these 5 core areas, they're just so broad. Recommend financing strategies. This could mean so many different things. Debt finance, equity finance, what is the weighted average cost of capital, so many different things, different other sources of finance. Mitigating risk, which risk, types of risks, how to mitigate risk. There is, these core areas are so broad, and they can mean I have to study very many different sections which I don't have clarity on. So then how will I become a good senior finance manager? So what CIMA does is, yes, you need to accomplish these 5 core activities to be a good senior finance manager. But to help you, they have broken down each of these core areas into separate I can statements, into separate target statements. So each core area activity comes with a set of I can statements. This is not a reading list. These I can statements are specifically telling you what from your E3, P3 and F3 syllabus you need to know. Smart approach or a smart preparation for this exam starts with the I can statements and starts by focusing solely on the I can statements, and my entire course, entire revision notes, entire important topics only map out and focus on the I can statements, because CIMA has given this hint. If we don't pick up this hint and if we don't prepare with this hint, then I am preparing in the dark without a targeted approach. And without a targeted approach, can we do well on an exam? I don't think so. So each core area is broken down into separate I can statements. What are the I can statements? Let me give you an example. For example, let's pick the first one. It says develop business strategy. So for example, the first I can statement is I can evaluate strategic options. This is telling you that go through your E3 syllabus and the different strategic options models need to be studied, need to be gone through. So essentially, strategic options your options for growth, so your Ansough's matrix, your Porter's generic strategies. These are all strategic options which are there in your E3 syllabus, which we need to revise, because this I can statement is very clearly telling me that I need to be able to do this, because in the exam, if I have to support with developing a business strategy, I might have to use that knowledge as the base for my answer. Same way, I can recommend responses to sustainability issues. So over here, go to your F3 syllabus, for example, and go through your sustainability aspect, sustainability reporting. Same way, go through your E3 syllabus and go through your corporate social responsibility, go through your sustainability section. So essentially, these I can statements are telling you what from your E3, P3, F3 syllabus needs revising from the technical background. Again, just a random, I can recommend dividend policy. So go through your F3 chapter on dividend, and over there understand the different dividend policies which are available. So zero dividend, residual dividend, incremental dividend. Just know the different dividend policies, so you can suggest the best one for your company. Same way, recommend internal controls. So go to your P3 and understand what different types of internal controls are possible. What are the different types of internal controls which are available? What are the different types of internal audits available? What are the different controls which can be put in place? So essentially, each I can statement is rather a direction for you, is a clear, straightforward help and direction for you, telling you that go to your syllabus area and please revise this, because this knowledge you will have to use somewhere, somehow, to assist the board of directors. And if you use this knowledge, we already understood with an example. That is why I showed you the example first. For example, that ethics one, ethics task. If you know ethics, you can write a better structured answer and you're not thinking here, there, everywhere. So if you've revised, your answer, your thought process becomes quicker, your confidence is much higher, you can present better, all things start flowing from there. But the mistake arises that, okay, I'm just blankly going through E3, P3 and F3 competencies, E3, P3 and F3 textbook notes or whatever, without knowing the specific I can statements. Because these I can statements is what my notes are built around. These I can statements are what we help every student focus on, because these I can statements are our only focus area through our course, because CIMA has given us the hint. So we mapped out an entire revision, an entire study notes to the blueprints, to the I can statements, so your study stays aligned to what the exam actually tests. And you are going to be tested on these I can statements only, on syllabus areas which relate to these I can statements, which relate to these core areas. So this is what the core areas mean, this is what the I can statements mean. So if you're self-studying, this should be your focus. If you're studying with us, then my study notes, my direction, my classes, my twice a week approach and my WhatsApp group will continuously keep bringing you back to these I can statements, so that we know our technical base, and from then on we will take you to the other aspects of the exam, but this is the place to start. So we learned what the blueprints are, how I should do my revision, I know the pattern of the exam. Now let's start getting into the actual knowing of your company for the August 2026 attempt. So 7 weeks or so before the exam, like we spoke about it, May and August follow the same pre-scene, November and Feb. So around end of March for May and end of September for November, the pre-scene is released. It's a fictional company. A host of information, 20 to 30 pages about that company will be given to you. The pre-scene runs 20 to 30 pages that we figured, but the issues that actually matter for the exam can be distilled into a sharper summary. So we have created a Kwirtmak pre-scene summary for you. As we all know, the May and August 2026 exam is based on a company called Kwirtmak, which manufactures 3D printers, and it's a global company. Like I told you, this interactive guide is going to give you everything in one place. So what we have done is, through the interactive guide itself, we have given you the actual CIMA pre-scene, which is 27 pages. And then I have presented my overview of the CIMA pre-scene. I've presented my, pretty much overview, my pretty much summary of the CIMA pre-scene, so that you have everything in one place, so that you have everything in one, go for you. And you don't have to look here, there and everywhere finding the right material. Now we already know that to be a good senior finance manager, I will need to have good blueprint knowledge. But then side by side, if you don't even know your company, how are you expecting to become a good senior finance manager for that company? So revision, starting point, yes. But then side by side, I need to get a start on knowing my company, knowing my business, because if I don't know my company and my business, then what will I apply my knowledge to? So we have presented a Kwirtmak summary for you, helping you know the company in a very quick, easy, simple, exam-oriented way. Now, while doing the summary and while doing our detailed pre-scene analysis as well, so we do a full 3-hour in-depth pre-scene analysis for our students, where we go through every single line and every single page of the pre-scene that CIMA releases, and then we make we make relations to the syllabus areas. We make relation to important syllabus areas, to important syllabus sections. So this rather becomes the best guide. My pre-scene document often becomes the best guide for my students to know your company, but also pick out the most important E3, P3 and F3 topics that keep coming up. Because while going through the pre-scene, we always keep mentioning that, okay, this is relevant to E3, this is relevant to P3, this is relevant to F3. So it helps students understand the company, no doubt, but then also helps students narrow down to the most important unseens, to the most important scenarios, situations which can come up in the exam related to our company. So I'll just show you an example of how we do our in-depth pre-scene analysis. We'll do the first page of my in-depth pre-scene analysis just to show you the rhythm and the pattern, or how you should be doing it. So okay, within the introduction, they're telling us that Kwirtmak is a quoted company that builds commercial 3D printers, and these printers can be tailored to a variety of tasks. So you are a senior manager in Kwirtmak's finance function. You report directly to the board. Now, whenever within our pre-scene we find something important, interesting, a key word, we underline it for you. As you see, we underlined a quoted company over here. Now, quoted means listed on the stock exchange. So this is a direct relevance to my core area C, F3 financial strategy, because quoted means listed on the stock exchange. So now I have equity raising chance. Just for me to keep in our mind, because we are listed, it will be very important for us to have strong financial performance, because our shareholders will judge us on that. We will have equity options available. So essentially, when I go through the pre-scene, I'm just trying to highlight important words, and through the entire pre-scene, we keep making revelations to important topics of E3, P3 and F3 syllabus areas, which are linked to your blueprint again, telling you that when you revise the blueprint and when you revise the topics which we give you, which are relevant to each blueprint, you are automatically generating a very strong revision base. That's the pattern that we recommend, and our full pre-scene document with a full detailed pre-scene analysis, which is 3 hours long, because we believe that if you understand your company well, half the battle is won in the SCS exam. So we focus a lot on the pre-scene, and when you are doing my pre-scene summary as well through this interactive guide, or if you are doing the pre-scene reading by yourself, which CIMA has released, keep this in your mind. Keep relating to important core areas, important topics. This will help you narrow down on your syllabus areas. We give students a full topic list, which are important topics which keep coming up, which are related to your blueprints, which are related to your I can statements. So your study becomes so much more focused. And then eventually when we move to mock question writing, your focus becomes 10x, because you know your company, you know your topic, and then you are only focusing on application, then you are only focusing on writing. That's the value that the course generates. So okay, I showed you why the pre-scene is important, because if you don't know your company, you can't support your finance managers. So we already know that Kwirtmak is quoted. It builds commercial 3D printers. The headquarters of Kwirtmak is in Enland, a developed country. So like a fictional company, it's a fictional country, which is Enland. And the currency of Enland is $. You are the senior manager in Kwirtmak's finance function. And remember, what are the roles of a senior manager? Your 5 core areas. You should be able to accomplish those 5 core areas for your company and help your management who raise questions about your company's future to do well on this exam. And to do well on this exam, if you just reverse engineer it, to do well on this exam, I need to understand the core areas. I need to understand the company. Essentially, it's leading you to success. So, okay, what is 3D printing? Now, 3D printing is also known as additive manufacturing. It's a process whereby items are constructed by building up successive layers of material. Objects are designed by a software, and different types of printers can manufacture items in plastic, metal, organic matter, layer by layer by layer. You first design it in a computer, you hit the print button, and then a printer actually designs that product layer by layer by layer automatically. That's a 3D printing process, simple way explained. So if you look at it, you first build the design. The design then breaks the actual object into layers. It's sent to the printer. The printer makes it layer by layer by layer, and an actual physical object is built. This layer by layer approach offers significant benefits in terms of speed and accuracy. You can just imagine. Traditionally, there would be a product designer who would sit, actually manually make the design. Then it would be given to the manufacturers who would actually manufacture that one designed product. It takes so much time and effort. Accuracy can also be lost. A printer removes all of this. So they are telling you that you as Kwirtmak are the manufacturer of this kind of printers. An engineer can edit a digital model using a CAD software before sending it to the 3D printer directly. So a lot of accuracy and complexity is possible because of the nature of this market. So the advantages are that it's faster, it's cheaper, it's more accurate. But traditional methods sometimes win. Why? Because mass production of identical parts is generally cheaper. The printer might be useful to make your one-off designs, but mass production, let's say the printer made a very innovative, for example, the part of a bike, let's say a nut, bolt, or a certain engine component of a bike. Now that engine component, if I want to make one piece just for trial purposes, then the printer might work. But if I want to make 1,000,000 pieces, then traditional methods are obviously better because cheaper they can run with established supply chains which are built for high volume runs. Now all of this is important for me to understand. You'll be saying that, okay, I need to know my company, right? I don't need to know the background of the company. But my counter question again, if you don't know your company's industry, how do you know what is good for your company, what is bad for your company, what is the strength of the company, what the company should be doing, should not be doing? So essentially, within the pre-scene as well, they give you an industry background because it's important to know what the industry is, where the gap is, and then information about Kwirtmak will be presented for you. So first they just introduced Kwirtmak to you, telling you what Kwirtmak does. Then they started giving an industry overview. Now how the 3D printing technology works, this is still the industry overview. We've already spoken about it. You first scan or design. You have two options. You can manually create the design in a computer, or you can scan. Now the scanning option is also available. Let's say you have a current bike engine component which is available. You want to bet it. So the available product I will scan. That scanned design will go on my computer, and then I can make my changes over there. So I can scan it, or I can design it from zero. Then I can edit it and I can refine it. The computer itself will slice it into layers. And then I can then press the print button. The computer, it's the machine, the printer itself will then create a solid object corresponding exactly to the digital model. The 3D printers can create objects from a wide range of materials including plastic, nylon, ceramic, metal, resin. Like I told you, in my pre-scene analysis, we always keep making relations to the E3, P3 and F3 syllabus areas. So I gave you the example of how we did, E-dollars, for example. If you're trading in E-dollars, then, there might be currency risks which can arise. So how do you manage those currency risks? F3 syllabus. It's a quoted company. So again, financial performance will become important. Your financial ratios. What financial ratios are important? F3 syllabus. Same way over here, we are seeing that 3D printers can create objects from plastic, nylon, ceramic, metal, resin. All of these materials, we need to look at the sustainability of these materials, because sustainability has become a very important syllabus area which is being repeatedly tested as a theme of a question or directly as part of a task through your integrated reporting, green finance. All of these are syllabus areas which have been added, which are testing the sustainability scenario very much. And we have a core area related to this as well. An I can statement related to this as well. So when you are going through the pre-scene, it becomes your job to identify the themes, the unseens, the topics which are important. If you're studying with us, naturally that job falls on me, and we slowly, steadily, one by one, introduce everything for you. So they do use a wide range of materials. It will be important and interesting to see which materials Kwirtmak uses and our commitment to sustainability, because sustainability is very key in today's market. Crucially, they can produce complex shapes requiring no further assembly. So complex shapes are created easily using 3D printers. That is why they are more and more being used. There are different types of 3D printers as well, which are used in market, for different purposes. First type is extrusion. So this method builds objects from plastic filament. An extrusion head melts and deposits the plastic precisely layer by layer by layer. So different ways your product is created. You can have an extrusion printer. This extrusion printer builds objects from plastic filament. So if you want a plastic final product, you can use the extrusion printer. How does it work? There's a head of the printer which melts and deposits the plastic precisely layer by layer by layer. It's compact and it's cost effective. Second type of printer is stereolithography. So this uses photopolymer resins cured by a laser beam directed over a platform submerged just below the resin surface. So essentially over here there is a laser beam which is directed onto the resin, and with that beam your product's layers are cut. So you don't need to know the technicalities of how each printer works and the details of how each printer works. You don't have to do that research. It's just for us to be aware that okay, there are 4 major types of printers which they have told us. Just know the basic difference between them. So extrusion, plastic filament. The extrusion head is used to melt the plastic and precise layer by layer design is created. In stereolithography, a laser beam is used which is directed on the resin and then cut layer by layer by layer. This is one of the most accurate 3D printing processes which is available. Next we have laser melting. Over here powdered materials are used. So a roller spreads the powder evenly, a laser fuses it. Remember stereolithography, there was resin. In laser melting, there is a laser, but then there is powdered materials over here. So works with plastic and with metal. So powdered plastic, powdered metal. Again, a laser beam is used. It creates the layer by layer by layer. So this creates stronger objects, though surface finish may be tougher. So if you want accurate, you go stereolithography. If you want cost effective, you go extrusion. If you want a stronger object, you go laser melting. And last we have multi-jet. There are 2 variants here, binder jetting and material jetting. So liquid binder fuses powder, supports multicolor wide material range including ceramics. So if you want multicolor, you use binder jetting. Material jetting deposits liquid or molten photopolymer cured by UV light. Very accurate with smooth finishes. So now multi-jet has 2 variants, binder jetting. This supports multicolor. If you want a multicolor product or a ceramic product, you go with binder jetting. If you want something that's very accurate with smooth finishes, you go with material jetting. So essentially these are the 4 different kind of printers which are available in the market. They are giving me this information because later on they will disclose that Kwirtmak sells these 4 kinds of printers. Now naturally you need to know the product which your company sells. If you're a bike making company, you need to know the bikes that your company sells. If you're a car making company, you need to know the car your company sells. If you're a printer making company, you need to know the printers which your company sells. Within my detailed pre-scene analysis, which is 3 hours, we explain each aspect for you, with the help of diagrams as well, which are there in the original CIMA pre-scene which has been released. But we include them within our full pre-scene analysis with the diagrams, telling you how things work, why each printer is used, why each printer is not used. So essentially knowing the products of the company become important. And after reviewing the types of printers section, some points are coming to my mind. Now the range of 3D printing technologies suggest that Kwirtmak may need ongoing investment decisions. There are different kinds of printers. So there might be new printers which come up. So I need to keep investing. If I need to keep investing, I need to keep raising finance. So my financing decision, my dividend decision, my cash decision, all of these come into the picture. F3 syllabus. They can very clearly tell you in the exam, raise a theme and tell you that, okay, we are developing a new printer now. We need finance for it. Should we cut our dividend? Evaluate whether we should cut our dividend. So you need to know what the current dividend policy is, what the financials of the company are. Can we do this? Can we not do this? For this, knowing your company is important, and understanding that these kind of situations can come up is even more important, and that is why we are doing this in-depth pre-scene analysis with you. And that is why rather we always do the in-depth pre-scene, which we are trying to showcase for you, so that when you're doing the summary or when you're doing understanding your company, you focus on these aspects, because students tend to overlook this very casually. Next, printing materials. We learned the type of printers. We need to know the materials. Now, the choice of material is fundamental to the output properties. What kind of object do you want? Depends on the type of material you choose. You can choose plastics. We very clearly know sustainability aspects need to be kept in mind. So what new printers can Kwirtmak come up with? What new materials Kwirtmak can introduce to better its sustainability credentials? Something to think about. So okay, plastics can be used. You can use nylon, you can use alumide, you can use ABS, you can use PLA, which is a biodegradable form of plastic. You can use several metals as well. Aluminium, cobalt, stainless steel. You can use ceramics as well. Now, depends on the type of industry the printer is being used in, and the type of product which is being developed using that printer. But you as a senior finance manager are getting to know your company better through this analysis, and that's the goal. I understood what my company is, I understood the type of printers, I understood that different materials are used in different printers, they give different outputs. That is the goal of this summary, nothing else. Now, there are benefits of 3D printing, obviously. It's customization, it's flexibility, complex geometry, complex shapes are created very easily. A 3D printer can create a solid object directly from a file, a 3D CAD file, bypassing your time consuming expensive processes. So all of these factors are ones which are pushing the 3D printing industry forward. And if they're pushing the 3D printing industry forward, it very naturally means that these are the driving forces for Kwirtmak. So if Kwirtmak wants to capitalize on growth, if Kwirtmak wants to make sure that it keeps growing, it will need to offer better CAD designing, so that the product is better designed, better, quicker, product printing, better, let's say accurate printing, sustainability. Products and components can be printed locally, so there is no transportation need. Kwirtmak is promoting sustainability using, just by being in the 3D printing industry, the type of materials that we use, the type of printers which we create in the future. All of these should be in line with our sustainability goals. So there are a lot of benefits of 3D printing in today's modern world, which Kwirtmak needs to incorporate. Now finally we start speaking about our company. See, till now we were doing a little bit of the industry background by itself. We're now to our company. So about Kwirtmak. Now Kwirtmak was founded in 1992, initially manufacturing small 3D extrusion printers, popular with small commercial design workshops. It's kept growing, and then by 2004 it got listed. Today Kwirtmak builds extrusion, stereolithography, your laser melting and material jetting printers, all 4 types which we already spoke about earlier. So if you know those 4 types, that is why I ran you through them in the industry section, so that over here these 4 types, when they mention it, it makes sense to you. Specializing in commercial grade machines capable of creating large objects from plastic, metal or ceramics. So we are using these different materials. Just be aware, plastic is also being used. Its largest extrusion printer can create objects with a build volume of up to 1 meter cube. Kwirtmak, so we have a lot of customer industries that we cater to. We cater to aerospace, automotive, consumer electronics, jewelry. This is where our printers are used. So naturally, these companies or customers within these segments become my stakeholders. Stakeholder management is a major ICANN statement, or is a topic which keeps coming up within the strategic case study exam. So something that we should be aware of, that these stakeholders are the ones which I will need to manage, or my customers are my stakeholders who I will need to manage, who I will need to take care of. The Mendelow's matrix can be used over here. It's your E3 syllabus, managing stakeholders with different power, different interest, because because you're such a large company, quoted company, the government also becomes involved. So the government is also a stakeholder. This brings in your topic of regulatory risk, product risk, all of which, if you see, is very intertwined. E3, P3, F3, everything is intertwined, because these are realistic problems which businesses face in today's modern world. So Kwirtmak supplies, so while we are going through the pre-scene, while you are going through the summary, please always keep an eye out for important E3, P3 and F3 themes, because the more you keep an eye out for these themes, the better the approach, the better the overview, the better the, better focused your study will be. So Kwirtmak supplies materials for use in its printers as well. We make those printers, plus we supply materials which are used within those printers, like plastic, metal, ceramics, whatever. Key customer selection criteria: when customers choose our products, they choose based on cost, they choose based on speed, the output that they want, how quickly they want it, the accuracy that they want, the type of finish, the strength that they want, and the type of size of the object which they want. All of this decides which printer the customer will go for. So it becomes these are factors which our engineers will have to keep in mind when designing printers. Remember, you are Kwirtmak, so think from inside of the organization. Kwirtmak's range of products enables it to meet most customer requirements. The prices of Kwirtmak's printers and materials tend to reflect high quality of products. So we are a company that competes on quality, not on price. You need to remember this. You just can't, say that, okay, let's make a printer and sell it under the Kwirtmak brand, which is of a lower quality. You can't say that, because your company has been in the market for such a long time and it's built a reputation based around quality. That is why knowing your company, knowing the pre-scene is a very, very important stage and step to begin with. Next, Kwirtmak's largest factory is in England. The company operates 3 further factories in different countries and sells to a global market. This is a major, major hint. So 3 factories, different countries, there will be different translation costs, different currencies. So transaction costs, translation, effects, all of this F3 syllabus becomes very, very important. We also sell to a global market. Your customers, different currency, they might want in a different currency, different countries, so different interest rates. So interest rate management also becomes a situation. So this is giving rise to a lot of financing problems, treasury management problems, plus a lot of risks, because different cultures, different companies, different parts of the world, so different political scenarios. All of these are major hints which are being given to you within the pre-scene, which we need to be very smart and identify. Next, the mission, vision and the values. A very common situation in the exam is where they'll tell you whether a new product, whether a new direction, a new company is the purchase of a new company is in line with Kwirtmak's mission and its vision. So to analyze that, to evaluate that, you first need to know what your mission is. You first need to know what your vision is. That's the starting point. That's where the pre-scene important. The mission is the reason for our existence. Why do we exist? What are we doing right now? So Kwirtmak is existing right now to transform its customers through innovation in design and production. So create printers which transform the customer's outlook on design and production. The vision on the other end is what we want to achieve. So Kwirtmak's vision is to be the leading provider of additive manufacturing solutions across industries, to be achieved in a sustainable manner. So be the leader but sustainable. So remember, everything that you suggest for your company has to have sustainability considered, because that's your vision. That's something that you're committed to. So you need to keep this in your mind. What is my mission? What am I existing for? What am I doing right now? What is my vision? What do I want to achieve? And then what are my values? These values also you cannot stay far from. You cannot go opposite to your values. Your value is wealth creation by focusing on shareholders, employees, communities in which it operates. So you are considerate about your shareholders, your employees, your communities. You over-deliver on promises. You promise something, but you over-deliver it for your customer, which brings long-term trust and loyalty. You always focus on innovation. Remember, we are high quality, but we are also focusing on innovation. So investment in research and development have to be strong, because that's in line with my values. And last, Kwirtmak trusts its staff and fosters a culture where all employees are team players. Now, all of these are pretty much values which you have to stick to when you are evaluating anything, when you are suggesting anything, when you are showcasing anything as a direction for your company. Because you just cannot go upside down and completely give a U-turn based on your mission or vision or values. That's not logical for any company. You have decided the mission, decided the vision, decided your values, and you've published them. So it becomes your commitment to follow them within all decisions, and as a senior finance manager, you are supposed to promote this. So knowing your mission, knowing your values is a great place to begin. Now, people who run the company are very important because they make the day-to-day decisions. So my executive team has a chief executive officer who is David Wallace. He's a mechanical engineer, bachelor's degree, master's degree, PhD, greatly qualified. Then we have Christina, who looks at operations. So chemical engineering degree, background in oil industry, and joined Kwirtmak in 2016. So we have an executive officer, we have an operations director, we have a technical officer who obviously looks at the technical side of production, R&D, who has worked in those departments, so he knows the technicalities which go into production. Then we have a finance officer, Agatha. This is Chief Finance Officer, your CFO. This is going to be your direct boss. So she's a qualified accountant. Then we have Uyang, who is the Marketing Director. Long career in business-to-business marketing. Very important for us because our customers are aerospace companies, other businesses itself. So Kwirtmak has B2B customers, and we have a marketing director who specializes in B2B. So naturally we are hiring the right people, we have the right people on the board, and these people are well qualified, well educated to lead the business forward. This is my executive team. Now we derive a lot of connections from the executive team as well within our detailed pre-scene analysis for 3 hours. But this is just important for me to understand that the people who are running the board are well qualified, they deserve their place. So the business is moving in the right direction. These are the board of directors, executive directors who are making the day-to-day decisions. Same way we have non-executive directors now. Now, this is very important because the corporate governance code, which is highly tested in the strategic case study exam, clearly lays out the equal number of directors, equal number of executive directors and non-executive directors should be present, because only then the board can be challenged on any decisions that they make. It's very visible over here that we have 5 executive directors but 4 non-executive directors. So I'm seeing a little bit of a mismatch in the board very clearly, which is a little bit of a corporate governance concern. This is just taking you back to your P3 syllabus. See how we make those relations. Students often miss this, but when you're studying with us who are experts and have been doing this for many years, we'll pick these areas out for you so you don't miss out on anything. So we have MADA, who is the non-executive chairman. Good that the CEO and chairman are separate. This follows the code of governance. But we have 3 independent non-executive directors where we should have had 4 to make it 5 executives and 5 non-executives total. Each non-executive director is also an expert in different areas, which means that the right people are running the company. The right people are there to question the people who are running the company, which is the non-executive directors, and they also are well educated. For example, Dr. Ada Rothenberg is a PhD in economics. We already know that we are a global company, so we will need some economic expert to help us understand inflation, interest rate, Next, we have Professor Amit, academic career at the University of Newtown, continuous as a part-time visiting professor. So he has that university background, academic background, research background. We have Nina, who founded a successful quoted company, hold several non-executive directorships, also serves as chair of Enland Opera, but her background as a founder of a successful quoted company specializing in commercial applications. So her business to business connections will help us. So essentially each director has a skill set which is unique, which is helping Kwirtmak. Taking corporate governance forward, there are committees which are present. The audit committee, the risk committee, the CSR committee and the remuneration committee all are present, which is a good sign. According to corporate governance code, there should be an audit, risk, audit, nomination, remuneration committee which is present. A risk and CSR committee is recommended, that is also present, which is a good sign. There is one hiccup over here. The chairman is part of the audit committee. According to corporate governance rules, the chairman cannot be part of the audit committee. So a little bit of a corporate governance issue again coming up over here. So 2 things. Maybe we hire one more non-executive director and he becomes part of the audit committee. So we still have 3 directors part of the audit committee. And MADA removes herself from the audit committee. She can be part of the other committees. This is UK corporate governance rules which apply within your exam, which do keep coming up in your exam, and we do not want you to overlook the same. That is why I have mentioned it over here for you and discussing it over here for you. After that, they've given me some principal risks. See, risk management, risk dealing is a major exam area. They'll often have questions in the exam which will relate to how will this risk be managed, what are the risks which are arising, evaluation of risks. Because naturally you are working in a global environment. So there will be various risks which you face. They've already identified some risks for you, like economic and global trading conditions, which we know are very volatile. So interest rate changes, inflation rate changes. These are clear direction that an exam question can come up on this. So F3 syllabus, please revise interest rate changes, inflation rate changes, the purchasing power parity theory, interest rate parity theory. These are things which you can use to answer questions based on these. Next, sales demand and volatility. Volatile demand creates variability in reported earnings. So how do we deal with sales, let's say, changing, effect on our debt, equity if sales change? Next, product hardware and software quality. Hardware is very important because our printer have to be, robust, good quality. The software which is used to design the product also needs to be continuously updated. So your data risk, your IT risk is also coming into the picture over here because of the software being mentioned. So how can, in today's modern world, digital risks be managed? Technical risks, IT risks be managed. Same way you have regulatory compliance risk, you have different countries, so different health compliances, safety compliances, environmental compliances. How do you deal with them? This is risk management. This risk page is clearly giving you a lot of questions that can come up, a lot of areas which can come up. And then we move to the financial analysis summary. So you understand your company in theory, but until and unless you understand your company's actual financial workings, where your company stands, you'll not be able to make real sense of what the changes the company needs to make, what the company needs to do to realign itself to its mission, vision, customers, all of that. So that's where the financial analysis becomes important. Before I start with the financials, I just want to say, if you have any questions, for all students, we have a direct WhatsApp line. My number is on your screen. Just note it down and WhatsApp me. If you reach out to me, I can help you with questions that you may have. I can, solve your problems in a much easier way. If you found this helpful, you can view our courses on finntutors.com/SCS. Have a look at our courses. Have a look at the testimonials. You'll see the efficacy of the materials as long as the course is followed. See, the course is only as good as you make it. It's going to be your hard work, your effort. We are just here to guide you and direct you to the right path. So reach out to us for any questions. Back to the summary now. Now, the financial analysis by us is done in a very detailed way, especially because in the strategic level case study, the company is such that it depends a lot on how you establish your company's current position, how you establish your company, what your company can do, cannot do. So what we try to do is, in my detailed analysis, we'll actually go through first the absolute numbers, and then I'll give you my ratios on it. But because this is a summary, I'll directly move to my ratios. I'll directly move to my calculated numbers to help you gain an understanding of the company in a better way, directly. Again, this pre-seen financial aspect often helps students plug in numbers, plug in information when the time comes within mocks, and we always recommend this. So you can say that our revenue has gone up by close to 18%, gone down, sorry. I'm so used to saying up because, in all of the pre-scenes historically so far, like if you look at the past pre-scenes, you'll see always there has been a revenue increase. This is one of the very first times where they've given us a revenue decrease. So difficult situation for us to deal with, and a lot of options for them to create questions around, divestment, financing, dividend decision, share price decisions because of this scenario. All of this is within your F3 syllabus. So revenue has gone down by close to 18%. When you write something like that within your answers, it takes your learning, let's say, to the next level, and examiners will also feel that, okay, this person has spent time on the pre-scene. They look at this positively. Yes, the actual answer is key, but when you plug stuff like this within your answer, it takes your answer to level 3 as much as possible. Again, we speak about the marking guides and all of that deeper into our course. But revenue has gone down by 18%. Naturally, we sold less So we would have forecasted, we made a little bit less, so cost of goods sold also went down. These are our direct costs. You make less, you sell less. That is why your cost of goods has gone down, and this will have a great effect on your gross profit. This will go down. It's gone down by 23%. Selling and admin costs went up fractionally, less than 1%, so not too much of an issue. R&D expenses declined by close to 5%. Now, because your profit goes down, your bottom line only went down. You'll have to cut in on other expenses. You cut down on your R&D. Your operating profit took a major hit because your revenue had gone down. And at the end of the day, your profit before tax close to 30% negative from the past year. This reads very negatively for a company when you're declining by 30% in terms of profit and 18% in terms of revenue. So there are changes which will need to occur within Kwirtmak, within our products, to make sure that the business keeps surviving and rather moves to positive growth, because within our industry analysis we have learned that this is a market which is growing. So the market is growing, but we have been declining. That's an issue to deal with. That's the profit or loss. And as always, we state down the conclusions from our profit or loss. For the statement of changes in equity, there was a negative currency loss on translation. Remember, we have different factories all over the world. So these factories, assets, rather for my company, so they will be subsidiaries which will have to be converted at the end of the year to e-dollars. When this conversion happens for these assets, a book entry occurs because the value of the currency will keep changing. This year there was a currency loss when the translation happened. So translation risk management, transaction risk management, F3 syllabus, major topic, especially transactions. Translation happens within the books. As you can see over here, at the year end, when the assets were translated, there was a loss of 44 million. But a major sign is that dividend was 432 million, which is 53% of my profit. So 50% of your profit is being paid out by dividend. If your revenue keeps going down, will you be able to keep paying this dividend? If your dividend changes, what are the effects on the share price? The different dividend policies, F3 syllabus, a major area, especially because of the nature of how 53% of the dividend is being paid out. Same way, we have a statement of financial position. Now, I'll directly look at the ratios. You'll see that the ROCE from a very healthy 51% has dropped to 34%. Why? Capital employed remained the same. Operating profit went down drastically. If profit goes down, your ROC is going to be affected, which means the attractiveness of your company gets affected. And if the ROC keeps going down, the shareholders will become apprehensive. They will ask for more return. If they ask for more return and revenues are declining, will you be able to pay that? That's another issue, right? And all of these ratios will take a downward hit because majority ratios are based on revenue, based on profit. If your profit goes down, your ratios are going to be negative. If I look at gearing, from 43 it became 39. Why? Because the capital employed figure has increased, because your profit decreased, but you still made a profit, right? So it added to your retained earnings. Gets added to your retained earnings, your capital employed figure changes, borrowings have remained constant. So my gearing went down to 39%. Now, when you are suggesting sources of finance, it becomes very important for me to be aware of my current gearing situation. If I know that I'm currently 40% geared, I can only take on a little bit more debt. Otherwise, I'll start looking like a very risky company. Then people will ask for more interest. Already my revenue is going down. How will I pay more interest? So the gearing situation of the company also needs to be kept in mind when you are suggesting sources of finance. So this way, within my detailed analysis, we step by step go through all of the numbers with you. First the actuals, then the synopsis. Over here, because this was the summary, I just went through the summary synopsis ratios which we create. After that, they've given me some extracts from my competitor or from my competitor's financial statements. Now they've told me that I have a competitor. They always give this, but this time it's a little bit new. You'll know why. So Kwirtmak is one of 8 major manufacturers. Most of these compete directly. Bresco is my closest competitor, sells very similar range. Other manufacturers are based abroad, but they compete because we sell printers all over the world. So there is a very clear direct competition with Bresco and 7 others, or rather 6 others, sorry. There are a total of 8. One is Kwirtmak, one is Bresco, and then there are 6 others. There is a major competition that's going on in this market because there are same customers, same products. So going to be very important for us to position, price, look at our product range, research, development, all of that. Now again, within this summary, I will directly go through the comparative analysis with you. If this were my detailed analysis, again I would go through number by number of Bresco, the ratios, then the comparison. But because we have limited time, I'll directly go to the comparison of both the companies. So we'll start with the profit or loss. If we compare the profit or loss, Bresco's revenue went up. That's the change I was talking about. My revenue is going down by 18% and their revenue is going up. Maybe they have a product or a use case or an industry use which I am not aware of. So a very deep competitor analysis will be important for me. External market analysis will be important for me. Their gross profit went up by 8%, naturally because their revenue is going up. They sold more. Their selling expenses went up. They can afford all of the increases in the selling expenses, in the admin expenses, in the research, in the development. They can afford this. Why? Because their bottom line is going up. In this comparative market, their bottom line is going up. They still had an operating profit of 8% and a profit before tax of 9%. Clearly showing that their margins are better than mine. Their margin is 53 and 37%. So essentially their profit is going up. Their costs also went up, okay, but their profit went up by a higher percent, giving them an increase in revenue and an increase in profit at the end of the year. Something for me to be worried about, something for me to be closely analyzing. If I look at my comparative financial statement analysis, then we'll very clearly see that Kwirtmak was at 33.98%. Bresco is at 34.21. So ROCE, I'll say pretty much same for both companies, but mine from 50% has come down. Theirs is increasing. So for an investor, Bresco will look like a more positive investment to make because their ROA, their gearing, both are better than mine. So essentially, it will be important for my trend to stop worsening so that we don't give these weak signals. But for that, I'll have to understand why Bresco did well. Why did we fall behind? How did we fall behind? Was it a problem with our internal controls, our risk management, our sustainability commitment? What was it? These 3 are part of your P3 syllabus. Remember that, especially sustainability. If I look at the consolidated statement of changes in equity, you'll see they paid out 70% of the dividend. I had paid out 53%. So, okay, maybe high dividends are a theme within this industry. Maybe last year I would have also paid a high dividend, but I had to reduce it to 53%. Maybe because my revenue is going down. They might have increased because their revenue has gone up. So essentially again becomes important for me to question, or for shareholders there can be a question saying, okay, we also need to pay, the shareholders are demanding a 70% dividend payment. What will happen if we increase our dividends? You should know your current financial position. Are you able to do that? What will be the effects, your dividend policy? So this is an important comparator analysis that we are making over here, and this gives a lot of questions about Kwirtmak's current situation. What happens if we are acquiring? So when we are acquiring, the business valuation question comes into the picture. If business valuation comes into the picture, then a lot of important topics like your capital asset pricing model, your asset-based valuation model, your DCF model, which model to use when you are evaluating a business, come to the picture. We talk a lot about systematic, unsystematic risk, beta factors, deeper on. Then they've given us the share price. You'll see alarmingly the share price is very, 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 very volatile. In 2021, 2022, it was $500 almost. It reached $500. Then highly volatile in 22, 23. In 23, 24, weakened overall. In 24, at the end, there was a major spike. And 25, 26, it has now come to its pretty much lowest level today. And this is very much clear because our revenues are declining. If revenue is declining, market confidence will be less. So very, very volatile share price. If you look at my current share price, it's somewhere around the, I'll say 50 range. But the highest was 550, close to 500, 525, however you want to read it. So there has been huge market speculation about my share price. It's very volatile, very high risk, unstable investor confidence. The positive part is that at several stages we have been able to recover. There has been a down phase, but there has also been an up phase. So maybe there's the down phase right now. The positive is that we will go up again. That's the investor positive signal. The negative is that right now it's at its lowest. We already have a very high beta, which we are going to speak about, and our revenues are declining. They've told us that my beta is 2.3. Very, very risky company. Knowing what a beta factor is, the systematic risk, the unsystematic risk, how beta feeds into the capital asset pricing model. That's your F3 syllabus. So we are much more volatile than the market. A beta of 2.3 implies that if the market falls by 10%, Kwirtmak shares will fall by 23%. Because if you see, 3D printers are not an everyday use. 3D printers are a luxury item if you look at it. Luxury item meaning something which businesses will invest in after they are a certain size. Something that the business, that your customers will invest in if they want to do something cutting edge. Otherwise, traditional methods are already available. So it's not like a car or a grocery which even if the price goes up, you still need it. 3D printers fall into a segment of the market which is highly, highly volatile. And this is because of my share price, or rather my beta being 2.3, which means if the share price falls by 10, I go down by 23%. So we are highly affected by unsystematic risk and systematic risk as well. Systematic risk because we have huge competition, unsystematic risk because of the economy which we cannot directly control also. So your management of risk becomes ever so important because of the high volatile nature of my company. That brings me to a new section this time around which they have introduced called the sustainability analysis. So in the sustainability analysis, the first thing is governance. So we have a risk and CSR committee which we have set. So we are giving sustainability importance. This is very close and closely linked to my vision statement also. Remember that. My strategy is based around efficient use of materials. So there is less loss of materials. There is more recycling. And there is reduction of carbon footprint rather. So that by the elimination of transportation. So my strategy is revolving around sustainability, for which I have a risk and CSR committee which links to my vision. So Kwirtmak takes care to ensure all compliance with all environmental legislation. Environmental issues, major exam theme. They can tell you that something went wrong in your factory. There's been a huge gas leak. What will be the environmental issues and how will we deal with them? Environmental risk, dealing. Risk of dealing with government organizations because of this, risk with not meeting your sustainability targets. How do you report your sustainability targets in terms of your integrated capitals? All of these become very, very important questions because of all of this which they have laid out. They also say that every material has its own recycling capability. Yes, materials are recyclable, but they use a lot of energy. Ceramic uses less energy but is less recyclable. Nylon and plastic use less energy and are still highly recyclable. But stainless steel and titanium are recyclable, but they use so much more energy. So metrics of sustainability depend on the type of printer you sell, type of material you sell. So maybe they can, there can be a situation where a new invention comes up about reducing energy consumption so that stainless steel, titanium come low within this graph. New innovation. There can be a situation, can be a scenario which comes up. Because material specific sustainability measures have been given over here. You need to be aware of them, right? Brings me now to the news analysis section. Now in this section, the news analysis section is often overlooked. Why? Because students feel, okay, they're just giving me news articles or whatever. But we have often seen a lot of CIMA themes, a lot of unseen themes, a lot of unseen direction coming directly from the news analysis section. So you should not turn a blind eye to it. The first article is about the public understanding of 3D printing. So the following extracts from Happy Comic illustrate how 3D printing technology is being explained to the general audience. So why can't my dad's 3D printer make a bicycle wheel? So a hobbyist's 3D printer, remember Kwirtmak creates commercial 3D printers for business to business use. So a hobbyist 3D printer is typically too small to build a bicycle wheel. Commercial 3D printers can create larger objects from robust materials. So there's a difference between hobbyists and commercial 3D printers. So these examples over here neatly illustrate the distinction between hobbyist and commercial 3D printing and the value proposition that Kwirtmak delivers to its industrial customers. So maybe Kwirtmak can look to expand into creating hobbyist printers but in a different brand name. We can create a new brand name, Kwirtmak Small Printers, for example, just suggesting something, or XYZ printers, and under it sell hobbyist printers to expand my customer base. Because we know our revenues are declining, we might have to do something new, some new research, new development, new product, new customer, new market. So this is the hint in the first news analysis section. In the second one, growing demand for carbon fiber. The biggest demand or biggest theme which we can see coming up is carbon fiber, because currently we do not use carbon fiber as a material. So we do not have printers which are compatible with carbon fiber. So maybe we introduce new printer, new research, new development, because carbon fiber products are used more and more in automotive, aerospace, and even sporting goods. Third hint is the medical profession making the use of 3D printing. Now a lot of body parts to treat patients are created using 3D printers. So maybe Kwirtmak comes up with a printer which is specific to the medical profession. Or specifically creates heart valves, artificial limbs, dental implants, just an unseen, just a theme that they can come up with, because the news analysis is giving you this direction. So that has got me to the end of our pre-scene quick go through summary. You see, before we started with this, you didn't know anything about the exam. Through this interactive guide, we told you what this exam is, what this exam looks like, how you can study using the blueprints. We gave you a summary of your company, Kwirtmak. Everything through this interactive guide is being handled for you one by one by one. If you found this helpful, you can go directly deeper by purchasing one of our study courses and gain full access to my detailed pre-scene analysis, to my twice a week live lessons, to my 25 mock questions which are based on important topics which keep coming up in the exam. Each question is marked, checked and corrected exactly like the exam, showing you what is right, wrong, how to move in the right direction. Set by set, we help you gain confidence so that you walk into exam day ready to perform. That's how we have created the course to make sure you have a positive exam approach. So that's the pre-scene summary Kwirtmak understood. So we spoke about what the blueprints are. We spoke about the summary of my company, what my company is all about. We are now moving to specific focus areas. Yes, the blueprints are already narrowing down my revision areas. They're already telling me, okay, these are the most important things to do. But out of the blueprints as well, there are some key topics which keep repeating as a cycle. So even when you look at the past papers, even when you look at the past questions that CIMA has been asking, there are a few topics that keep repeating. So we have noted down those famous topics for you, if you want to put it that way, or the most repeated topics for you. Yes, the unseen is different. So the scenario is different. The way they word the task is different. They can ask you, okay, types of internal controls or evaluate the internal controls which we can implement, for example. The same thing can be asked in a different way. So each time, each task is going to be different. The unseen is going to be different. The words are going to be different. The problem that your company is facing is going to be different. But these topics as a background keep repeating, and that is why we felt that we should give you a list of those topics as part of this interactive guide, because our promise is to make sure we have one area for you which covers everything you need about your exam. So how do I, and first, which topics do I focus on, because these are key important topics which keep coming up. The most common ones are ethical issues, currency risks which your business faces, and you'll see all of these are very much relevant to your company Kwirtmak also, because of the nature of Kwirtmak, because of the business of Kwirtmak. So ethics, currency risks, we are a global company. Acquisitions, Kwirtmak can look to acquire, especially because their profits are going down. Governance issues, the internal governance issues, risk related decision making, how do you manage your stakeholders, internal audit, internal controls, corporate governance, the fluctuation of share price. We already know our share price is highly fluctuating. We have a very high beta. So, questions around that. Raising finance for a new project, maybe debt, equity, the evaluation of your dividend policy, the evaluation of your sustainability principles, your integrated reporting, the risks which your business may face, scenario planning, game theory, how do we use this to better plan for the future. So these topics that you see on your screen are the ones which keep coming up and keep coming up. What we have done is, yes, we've given you the topics, so you can revise these areas, you can revise this topic, because strong technical knowledge forms a base for writing a good answer. It gives you confidence to start writing. But what we did was not only list the topics for you, we gave you the study notes or a synopsis of our study note in one place for you. So you don't have to go here, there, everywhere. So these topics, yes, are important, but we have given you summary notes on these topics from a case study perspective. So you have the exact areas which I want to revise, which I want to go through in preparation for my exam. So I welcome you to these revision notes. They have been put together which are very clear, direct, exam focused. As you keep working through this material, you'll see that we have kept it very case study related. So when you're ready to take your preparation to the next level, our full course at Finntutors is built to get you study notes in a similar way linked to your core areas, helping you understand case study relevance for every topic. And these are just some topics which keep coming up. There are often surprises and often other topics which come up which are related to your blueprint areas. So our full notes make sure you have a foolproof study experience. So okay, in these revision notes, what we did was we told you, yes, scenario planning is important, but it links to your core area A, I can statement, evaluating strategic options. So okay, scenario planning is a strategic planning tool. It allows businesses to create flexible long-term strategies, imagining possible scenarios. So after that, we gave you a very simple table telling you the purpose. Scenario planning helps you with identifying key uncertainties, developing the right scenarios, assessing the implications in each of the scenarios, and then helps you plan. Now just imagine if you have a question on evaluate the use of scenario planning, or evaluate how scenario planning can be used in a particular situation. You have so much more to write because you know, okay, in scenario planning, this is what it means technically. First we'll identify the uncertainties, develop the scenarios, assess the implications, and then plan the action. So if you just remember a simple skeleton structure for every topic in your own words, especially the important topics, when the time comes, you can bring that back and then form your entire answer around it. It gives you so much more direction to write. It helps you with confidence to approach. Yes, your writing will have to be related to your company, will have to be related to the unseen, but that structure, this, revision is giving you. And that is why we are making these revision notes available for you, and we have made it available through our course as well, which we always keep repeating. Keep it simple, keep it easy, understand a topic in your own words. And then as always, we go ahead and give you a case study example, identify the uncertainties, type of scenario, the implications, the action plan. So we've just given you an example which will help you fathom the technical knowledge given to you over here. This helps you remember, this helps you apply, this helps you to be ready for your exam. Same way, we have the next topic, suitability, feasibility, acceptability. Again, part of your blueprints A and B, 2 I can statements are relevant over here. We are clearly telling you what suitability means with an example for a hybrid backpack company. It could be any company. We've just given you an example of how you can think about it. Same way for feasibility, same way for acceptability. Now, when you've revised it in such an easy way, in your own words, with an example, bringing it back becomes easy. And we don't give you a blank book of 300 pages, okay, you go through it. You see how summarized the notes are? You see how very much summarized they are? They focus on what is important from the case study perspective. Every topic we try to focus, narrow. What keeps coming up? What is important for students to know? That's our mindset. Next topic, we have integrated reporting. Again, core area A and B, sustainability issues, financial, non-financial related reporting. These are the 2 I can statements this relates to. So what is integrated reporting? The purpose of integrated reporting, the principles of integrated reporting, and the most important is the capital framework in or under integrated reporting. So the capitals in the integrated reporting framework identify resources and relationships an organization relies on to create sustainable value. So if there is a question about evaluating the value evaluating sustainable value which the organization is developing in this situation, straightforward your mind can use the capitals. If they told you evaluate the use of financial capital, manufactured capital, straight away technical knowledge is coming from here. So technical knowledge is not needed to ace the exam, but technical knowledge is definitely needed to start your answer. It's definitely needed to give you a structure for your answer, and that is why we say revising the blueprint areas, the core areas, the important topics is the place to start with, and this document, this interactive guide is helping you exactly with the same. So under sustainability reporting, you have the IR framework and you have the GRI framework. Both are a little bit different, but the purpose is the same: sustainability reporting. Next, stakeholder management. Very important topic related to your core area B. Over here, how do you manage stakeholders? There is often a question, okay, this situation is creating a problem for employees, shareholders, governments. How do we manage these stakeholders? Or how do we manage the relationships with these important customers, for example? Straight away your mind can go to, okay, let's use the Mendelow's matrix. Let's look at who has how much power, who has how much effort, who has how much power, who has how much interest. And then according to that, you can manage your stakeholders, or you can suggest to manage your stakeholders. To help you, I have also given you a case study example. That okay, if it's a backpack making company, this is the scenario, how will it work? You can apply it to any company given to you in the case study exam, as long as we are knowing the concept. Taking it one step forward becomes easy. Next topic, a very technical one, currency risk. Students often get confused by it. This is blueprint section B. So firstly, we are telling you what types of currency risks exist with simple explanations always. We'll cover a quick excerpt here for, some hedging techniques. Obviously, all the hedging techniques with simple, easy synopsis are included within our full study notes. But I'll just give you internal hedging techniques. See, a simple one table example. Same way, external hedging techniques, simple one table example and giving you a sample question as well. So no full pages, no sum solving, no detailing on each aspect. That is not needed for the case study. In simple words, you understand what internal hedging techniques exist, what external hedging techniques exist. Both together, that knowledge you can carry. So if in the exam they ask you how will the currency risks be managed, straightforward you can give the right suggestions. But for that, you should have studied it in the right way. The next topic, we have dividend policies. Great question which keeps coming up. Okay, can you recommend a change to dividend policies? Should we change our dividend policy? Is our current dividend policy good, not good? All of this you can only evaluate if you know the different types of dividend policies which exist. So what are the different policies which exist? Constant annual dividend, constant payout ratio, inflation linked dividend, residual dividend, zero dividend. Each of these methods are used in a particular situation, and we've given you one simple table analysis for it. Simple. Your job becomes to simply go through this material, and you see how simple we make it. If these notes are simple, just imagine when you take it one step forward within one of our study courses, your learning goes to the next level in terms of managing time well, studying what is important, not focusing on useless things which take my time. Because all of us, majority of our students are working professionals. So we don't create courses or don't create material which is not needed for the exam. Everything is summarized but relevant for your exam approach. Next, we have business valuation techniques. Now this links to your core area C. Very important. Again, there are different business valuation techniques. We have covered asset-based valuation for you over here with a very simple example. Same way for earnings-based valuation. Now you see, without this knowledge, how are you expecting to answer business valuation questions in the exam? Okay, we are purchasing a new company. how should we value that company or evaluate the use of asset-based valuation for a particular company. You need to know what asset-based valuation is, right? Its advantages, its disadvantages. So these simple study notes help you create a great link between your technical knowledge and the requirement of the exam, which is a strong suggestion for the board of directors. Same way, all topics which we find important are or have been created into simple synopsis and have been put over here for you. So our full course includes blueprint map notes and summaries covering every single I can statement across the 5 core areas, so you don't miss out on anything. Along with this, yes, topics are highlighted, but students often falter because they don't know how to use it in the exam. That's where my structured mock questions related to your company, marking, feedback, twice a week live lessons, Wednesday and Friday, WhatsApp community, because we always believe in being there for the students, not just giving the material and okay, you study it yourself. If this free material is this comprehensive, you can just imagine how comprehensive we make our course so that nothing is left to chance. That's the goal, which we always try to achieve, which is don't leave anything to chance. Always make sure a student is prepared when they enter the exam, and that happens with targeted revision, targeted pre-scene full 3 hours, targeted 25 mock questions based on what keeps coming up, relevant unseens related to your company with corrections, with live lessons. So all of this is bound to give you a positive exam approach. Now, technical knowledge by itself does not pass. You have the technical knowledge, you know your company, but that's not enough to pass, because the examiner wants to see that you think and behave like a senior finance manager. Not that you can, pick up your scenario planning knowledge and just put it over here. Not that you can just pick up any topic from your E3, P3 and F3 blueprint areas and then put it over here. You need to actually apply it to the situation, apply it to your company, like you would do in a work situation, or like any finance manager would do in a work situation, which is help their directors make a decision by giving their opinion, which is formed using technical knowledge, using pre-scene knowledge, using experience. So you need to apply all of that in the right way. So the SCS, like I told you in the first page itself, is all about how you communicate your judgment, your recommendation, your well explained suggestions, business acumen, understanding the overall bigger picture for your company. All of this needs to come together in an answer to score marks. So what we are going to do from this very moment is everything is actually going to be about how to write an answer. So you understood the exam, you understood the blueprints, you understood the synopsis of your company. You also went through important topics with me which I identified for you. Now how to apply all of this in an exam situation. Because without application, we are not going to get marks. Because without actually applying it over here, our marks will be limited. So it becomes very important for us to understand what scores well. So I will introduce the mock writing pattern system for you through a sample question. This is one of our questions, or one of our 25 questions that we do for our students. I will use this as a sample. This is the exact same pattern, structure, system. You can expect questions to come up in the exam. This is the exact same structure you will be facing in the exam. So just imagine if you have practiced 25 questions like this and actually tested them with me, checked them with me, marked them with me, discussed them with me in my live classes. your preparation for the exam is very different, is one very, is at a very confident level, and that's what we aim to do through multiple writing and multiple direction giving for you. So let's read a sample question and then we'll break down this sample question to understand what means what. So what does a case study question look like? A case study question generally starts with an email where your finance director or any other board of director is reaching out to you to explain a problem which the company is facing. So okay, from Agata to senior finance manager, and then they'll give you the subject line. So in this case, it's managing risk and cybersecurity governance. So Agata stops by your office and gives you a document. Following board approval, Kwirtmak has now completed the acquisition of the advanced materials facility in Xland. So they're telling you and they're setting the scenario over here. They're setting a scenario over here where we have purchased an advanced materials facility in Xland, a new country. This is a major step in building our capabilities in carbon fiber and other advanced materials. From our pre-scene, we already know we don't have a factory in Xland. We used to supply materials. We have now backward integrated, bought one of the advanced material factories, which also looks at carbon fiber. Remember, news analysis section. So this is the theme which is being set. However, the board is increasingly concerned about the risks associated with operating in Xland, particularly given recent cybersecurity incidents affecting industrial companies. So they are concerned about the risks of this new acquisition, particularly cybersecurity. So every question starts with an email, starts with a little bit of a theme, and then there will be tasks, which means the exact requirement which you are supposed to answer. So firstly, recommend with reasons. The approach that Kwirtmak should now take to manage the political and operational risks in Xland. Secondly, evaluate the arguments for treating Kwirtmak's cybersecurity as a strategic issue that should be overseen directly by the board. These are the two things which they are asking you. So we call these two things as the tasks. So essentially it's a email where they're telling you, okay, this has happened. Then they'll ask you two things generally which you are supposed to provide an answer for. And then at the end, you will always be given a reference material. Or at every question, we'll have some reference material which is extra context of the theme, which is a little bit of extra information on the theme itself. So over here, they have told you that, okay, Kwirtmak has recently acquired the advanced material facility located next to its production site in Xland. The facility specializes in carbon fiber composites. The acquisition is expected to support Kwirtmak's strategy of expanding its products beyond traditional materials such as plastic, metals and ceramics. So this advanced material facility will give us carbon fiber composites which can be used within our printers and which will then be sold to customers as well. Like we currently sell plastic material ceramics materials, we'll sell carbon fiber as well, but we'll also obviously develop printers which are capable of producing carbon fiber goods or products. Operating in Xland also introduces risks. Recent reports suggest that industrial companies in the region have been subject to cyber attacks targeting design systems, production processes, and supply chain networks. Given Kwirtmak's reliance on CAD software, digital design files, and connected production systems, it may be particularly exposed. So they are giving you more context. The reference material always gives you more context based on the theme always gives you a little bit more detail on the theme. There are also concerns about the broader political and regulatory environment in Excellent. The government has shown increasing interest in controlling access to technologies and industrial data, particularly where foreign owned businesses are involved. This could lead to restrictions on data transfer, tighter compliance. Corporate governance guidelines highlights that risks such as cybersecurity and supply chain resilience are becoming more critical for technology-based manufacturers. All of this is extra hints which they have given you, extra ideas which they have given you based on the theme which has been set. So very to anything else except for what they have asked us, we get big 0. Very limited marks. So let's read the task now. What is the task? The task is very clearly identifiable. So the task says, recommend with reasons the approach which we should take to manage the political risk, operational risk in Excellent. That's the first requirement. The second requirement is evaluate the arguments that treating Kwirtmak's cybersecurity as a strategic issue that should be overseen by the board. So arguments for treating cybersecurity as a strategic issue have been asked. So first task is about managing the operational risk and the political risk. Second one is about evaluating the argument that cybersecurity should be treated as a strategic issue. So number one, understand the theme, the reference material, the unseen. Number two, read the task, understand the exact words of the task, exactly understand what they're asking you. Number 3, 4 and 5 are the most important parts. This is where it's make or break for your strategic case study exam. This is where we need to understand the mark weightage for each task, how the scoring works, and how much to actually write. A lot of students face this problem, so please very carefully follow me. Now, after every task in the exam, see, even when we discuss the exam structure, you always saw that, okay, task 1 50%, task 2 60% or 50%, sorry. Task A, again, next question 60%, 40%. Question 3, task A, 40%, 60%. You always keep seeing these percentages. So there is very many times a doubt in students' minds as to what is this percentage. What does percentage mean? This is clear indication and direction on how much to write. This is clear indication and direction on, okay, you need to write this much. So understand me carefully. See, your exam, your CIMA SCS exam for all students is first marked out of 100 marks. Then you'll tell me why. This happens because you first get a score out of 100, and then depending on the weightage or the difficulty of your exam variant, your score is scaled, and then you get a total out of 150. You need to score 80 out of 150 scaled to pass. Now, what is the scaling? See, CIMA creates 3 variants or 3 exams for an attempt. So if you take in May, 3 exams, August, 3 exams, different exams. Each exam is different to prevent, sharing, cheating, copying, whatever you want to call it. And you will be randomly assigned an exam when you start your attempt. So when you start your attempt, you will be randomly assigned an exam. We call it variants. So you will be randomly assigned a variant. It could be variant 1, 2 or 3. All will be based on Kwirtmak, obviously, but the questions will be different, completely different. Now, because the questions are different, some questions can be little bit more tricky. Some questions can be little bit on the easier side. For example, this question could be tricky, could be considered as tricky. Second, there could be a question on ethical issues, which could be considered a little bit more straightforward. Now, the difficulty of each question varies. That is why the difficulty of each variant also varies. One variant can be a little bit more easier. Variant 2 can be a little bit more difficult. 3 can be even more difficult. But now it's not fair to judge all students equally when their variants are different, when their difficulty is different, right? So what CIMA says is, to remove this unfairness, let's first mark every student out of 100 marks. First, every student is marked out of 100 marks. And then depending on your variant's weightage or difficulty, CIMA decides a weightage. If, for example, variant 3 was tricky, then your score out of 100 will be multiplied by 1.5. For example, I'm saying. And then you get a final score out of 150. If you got variant 2 little bit easier, your weightage is 1.3, for example. If variant 1 was very easy, your weightage is 1.1 or 0.8, whatever the weightage is. CIMA will multiply a weightage to your score out of 100, and then you need to score a minimum of 80 out of 150 scaled to pass. Now this is very important to understand because it tells you directly how much to write. I'm coming to that, but before that, see, the weightage is something which we don't know, which we will never know, which is arbitrary, which only CIMA decides, which only CIMA knows. So now, is it fair for us to be worrying about a weightage which we will never know anything about? The weightage for each variant is secret. CIMA does not ever reveal it. So my suggestion is forget what is not known, which is the weightage, and focus on what is in your control. The 100 marks remain same for all, remain consistent for all. So the 100 marks is what we will focus on. The 100 marks is what we will use as our base template. And the 100 marks is what we will worry about because that's in our control. So I explained the weightage to you, I explained what the total marking scheme is, I explained what variance mean, but at the end of the day, you need to know that each exam for every student is first marked out of 100 marks. Now if it's 100 marks and there are going to be 3 questions, we already understood this, right? So 100 marks, 3 questions, 100 divided by 3, roughly 33 marks per question is my allocation. Roughly every question is worth 33 marks. So this question which you are seeing on your screen, entire question number 1, let's assume, is worth 33 marks. Now from that, they are telling you that task A is worth 50% of those marks. Task A is worth 50% of those marks. So now 33 is total. Task A is 50% of 33, which is roughly 16-17 marks. So let's say task A is worth 16 marks. Task B is again 50% of those marks. So the remaining 17 marks is task B. Why is this important to understand? And this is where the SCS is different from your OCS and MCS. In the SCS, CIMA says, or rather, we always try to give ballpark figures for our students to keep in mind how much to write, how much they should think. So as a ballpark figure, we say one well-explained point, one well-explained argument is worth 4 marks. So see, task A was 50% of 33, so 16 marks. If roughly one well-explained point is 4 marks, I need to write 4 points for task 1. Same way, I need to write 4 points for task 2. So essentially, knowing this entire system is to arrive at how many marks each task is. Because if I understand how many marks each task stands for, then I know as a ballpark figure how much I will have to write. Students often feel that, okay, I know 4 points. Should I write 5, 6, 7 points? No. CIMA will completely discard and discount after the 4th point. You cannot keep writing. You need to understand the value of each task. You need to understand how much you will write, and then you need to figure out the best 4 points and write them. So in this case, you need to figure out the best 4 recommendations. 2 to manage political risk, 2 to manage operational risk. Simple breakdown. Same way, you need to recommend the 4 best arguments for treating cybersecurity as a strategic issue. So the best points you need to think about because you only need to write 4 in this case. So you think about it that way from the onset. So when you look at a question, there are 7 things which we got to do. The first thing is unseen. Second thing is task. Third thing is understand the value of each task, the weightage. So okay, over here it's 50-50. Fourth thing is how the scoring works. Keep that in mind. I need to write well explained points. Each question is 33 marks. Over here, task A is worth, how much to write is next. So task A is worth 16 marks, roughly 4 points. Task B is 50%, again 16 marks, roughly 4 points. Fine. 6 is the reference material. This we have already covered when you're understanding, reading the unseen information, always important to keep the reference material in your mind, because that is what is going to give you the context. That is what is going to give you the hints. And last is the command verbs. You need to understand the verbs. You need to understand the words within the task. See, always within the task, they'll give you action verbs. In this case, the action verb is recommend. Second one is evaluate. So very clearly, if you understand the verbs which keep coming up, you will understand what to do. See, recommend, all of us know what recommend means. But now when I'm aware that, okay, the action verb is recommend, which means I have to give recommend. So I have to recommend how the risk will be managed. Recommend how the risk will be managed. Secondly, they said evaluate. So I have to go in depth and look at this situation from a bird's eye view for treating Kwirtmak cybersecurity as a strategic issue. So when you are aware of the verb, you are able to better structure, guide, direct your answer. And this hint has been given to you in the blueprints itself. If I just open up the blueprints, you'll see these action verbs repeatedly recommended, and students often miss this. When you're studying with a tuition provider like us, Global Pass Rate Excellence Award 4 years in a row, we have already picked out all the nitty-gritties of this exam for you, all the details of this exam for you, all the linkages of this exam for you. And if this interactive guide is just free material which is giving you this much, imagine when you transition to our course, takes it to a completely different level where we hold your hand through the entire process. So if you see, evaluate, recommend, evaluate, recommend, 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 evaluate, identify and recommend, evaluate, recommend, select and apply, recommend. So there are a lot of verbs which keep repeating within the exam, and it becomes very important for us to understand the simple meaning of each of these verbs to make sure I can action on them properly. So before we came to this page, you didn't know anything about how an exam question looks like. I showed you what it looks like. I showed you, or I told you, to focus on the unseen, focus on the task, how to write, how much to write, the reference material, the command verbs, all of this was given in one packed page for you. Just a little bit on the verbs. Typically in the SCS exam, if you even look at the blueprints, you'll see evaluate, discuss, interpret, recommend, analyze, identify. These are the ones which are repeatedly used. So we have given you a little bit of an overview of what these verbs mean. We have given you an overview of what each of the verbs signify, just for you to have an understanding of what is required. So for example, if you see evaluate. See, evaluate is not always blindly start writing advantages and disadvantages. Just because students see the word evaluate over there, they start writing, okay, advantages and disadvantages. No, see the context of how it's used. Over here, the context is very clear. Evaluate the arguments for. If they would have said evaluate the arguments for and against, then you go for and against. They clearly said evaluate the arguments for treating cybersecurity as a strategic issue. So for treating is what needs to be focused on. So evaluate means consider, judge how good something is, consider the risks, the long-term impact, the overview. Evaluate means look at it, look at something from all sides. Look at something with depth. Recommend, on the other hand, best course of action. Justify, why this is best for the company. Assess how important it is, how serious something is in depth, explain its impact. So I've given you a page on the verbs which keep coming up and keep coming up. But it's important for us to understand that these action verbs are always going to be there within any task that CIMA throws at you. You need to be aware, ready to pick out the action verb, ready to pick out the verbs of the task, ready with knowing that, okay, I have to, it's 50%, this is what it means, 60%, this is what it means, 40%, this is what it means. That should be ready from your side if you want to do well on this exam. So see, up until now, everything that we have been speaking about is pretty much the planning. So for planning, we have created the Finntutors planning framework. We have created the framework for planning, which we have created after a whole lot of trial, error, mistakes, and we have seen this work for students. So it might work for you also, and that is why I want you to try it. So see, these 7 things remain the same, but it's just that I make it a little bit more structured. So first 4 minutes, I read the entire question once. Read the entire question once, slowly, steadily, the question, the unseen, the reference material, the task. Read everything once. Understand. Note the names, note the unseen, note the theme, note all of that. The second one is identify and isolate the task. Task, task, task. Second one is reread the task. Because we know that we only get marks if we write an answer for the task. So if you over here are writing the answer for anything else except for recommending the ways of how to manage political risk and operational risk, you will not get your marks. So in my 4+4+4 planning method or Finntutors planning framework, we always recommend to first read the question, then come back and isolate the task where you will understand the value of each task, how much you are going to write. All of that happens in the second 4 minutes. And then the last 4 minutes are for creating your subheadings, are for creating your, let's say, simple subheadings before you start writing. So for example, in this case, my first subheading would be how we should manage political risks. Second subheading, how we should manage operational risks. See how I broke it down? Or recommendations for managing political risk. Second, recommendations for managing operational risk. I now have to write 4 points. So logically, I'll write 2 ways to recommend, 2 ways to manage political risk, 2 ways to manage operational risk. See, right now we are only on planning. How to write, we are coming to that. What to write, we are coming to that. But in our planning itself, I know I have to look at 7 things. And these 7 things, I have to break it down as 4+4+4. 4 minutes to read the question, 4 minutes to isolate and understand the exact task, and the last 4 minutes to decide my subheadings. Next, for the second task, the subheading is evaluate the argument. So, evaluating the argument for treating Kwirtmak's cybersecurity as a strategic issue. That could be overseen directly by the board. To make your subheading, you can always keep using hints from the question itself, from the words from the task itself. The task itself will help you frame your subheadings. Don't try to think too much or mix things up too much, not needed. The task is giving you the hint. The task is giving you the guide. Just simply follow it. So, okay, This is the Finntutors 4+4+4 planning method. Try it, test it, actually practice writing on it, and you will see that you can keep refining on this method, and eventually you have built a skeleton for your question, understood your question, understand what the task is, understand how much to write even before you start writing a simple word. This planning really helps you exactly focus on the task. And this is something which comes with practice. That is why we do 25 mock questions, like I said. And when you are doing targeted practice with continuous refinement, you'll do a mock, you'll understand, oh, 4+4+4 didn't work for me. Or maybe, it worked for me, but I need to change it a little bit to my own strengths. That will come with practice, experience. Actually, writing in 60 minutes is what we completely always advocate. So, okay, I have done my planning. I know what to look at. I know what the subtask is. I know what my headings are. Everything is done. Now is actually where you earn the marks, which is writing. So to write now, there is often a question by students on, you said, okay, well explained point is 4 marks. Fine, as a ballpark figure. There is no exact requirement which has been set out by CIMA, or there is no exact guidance given by CIMA that, okay, you need to write these many points, this point is worth this much. No, I'm coming to what the actual CIMA marking scheme looks like. But after a lot of course prep, we have come up with this ballpark figure, and we see that if you try to meet this ballpark figure as much as possible, you will be able to achieve a good grade. So, okay, I know I have to write 4 points. But then what is the point? Do I just have to introduce it a little bit? Do I just have to speak about it a little bit? Do I have to detail on it? How much to detail on it? So again, as a ballpark figure, we say that for each point, try to write 5, 6 sentences, not line. So 6, 7 sentences if you aim for each point. Depth. See, remember, you only had to write 4 points for task 1. Do you think that just for writing 1 or 2 lines, 1 or 2 sentences, they'll give you marks? That's not what a senior finance manager does. A senior finance manager always gives depth related to your company. So I want less points, but each point to be well explained, well detailed. Why did they give you the entire pre-scene analysis? Why did they give you the entire unseen reference material? So that you can use all of that to provide a well explained, in-depth answer related to your company. So now, okay, I have to write 5, 6, 7 sentences. To help you reach that goal of 6 to 7 sentences, we have created a Finntutors writing approach which will help you. So we had created the planning approach to help you plan. Now we have a writing approach to help you write. Now this writing approach is what we are calling as PEA, or point, explain, apply. If you try to do point, explain and apply for each point that you write, your marks are going to be high. Why? Because essentially you are going in depth, you are explaining your perspective, you are explaining your point of view. So you are getting your, you're doing the, or rather you're doing a good job like a senior finance manager would. So essentially, if we try to follow the PEA framework, for each point that I write, my 6, 7 sentences will be completed, plus I will be writing in depth and I will get my marks. So just to show you as an example, see, the first task was recommend how political risk should be managed, right? So my point is, I am recommending how it should be managed. So I'm telling them that Kwirtmak should implement robust cybersecurity, and operational risk management controls across excellent operations. They very clearly said, recommend how it should be managed. So I am telling them, I am picking the action verb recommend, and I am very clearly telling them that please implement robust cybersecurity and operational risk management controls. If you write this much, you get very limited marks. Because remember, I have to write 5-6 sentences. So let's take it forward. And to take it forward, I am going to use information from the question itself. So the point is exactly answering the action verb. The explain is where you use the information from the question itself, from your unseen, from the reference material. You use the information from there itself to substantiate your point. So explain your point. So okay, cyber attacks could disrupt production, steal valuable design data, compromise CAD systems, and damage supply chain networks. Strong controls such as access restrictions, if you see, disrupting production, compromise CAD systems, design data, all of this is there in the question. I'm just taking it and putting it over here. So strong controls such as access restrictions, regular security audits, employee training, and continuous system monitoring would reduce the likelihood and impact of operational disruptions. So I explained my recommendation. I used information from the question to do the explanation itself. And now I'm going to apply it. You see, sentence 1, sentence 2, and sentence 3. Sentence 4 is where the application begins. So this is particularly important because the newly acquired advanced material facility relies on digital design files and connected production systems. Again, using something from the question. And now it's my chance to bring in the pre-scene. So any breach could disrupt manufacturing operations for our customers, and it could lead to loss of valuable intellectual property, which supports Kwirtmak's competitive advantage. We learnt in our values that we always invest in research, development, design, innovation. So if this data by itself is lost, my competitive advantage is weakening. So essentially for each point, I am pointing out my point, which means in this case it's a recommendation. So start with the recommendation, then I explain it using information from the question, and then I apply it using my pre-seen knowledge. This will help you write your 5, 6, 7 sentences which will make your point well explained. This I'm just showing you as an example, because students will tell me, okay, you're telling me to write 5 sentences, but how do I write them? So the PEA method is what helps you with the same. And this level of quality or explanations or breakdown, we have only come up with after a whole lot of many years and thousands of students who have used this, practiced this, and it has benefited them. That is why we are bringing it to you. Again, the 4 plus 4 plus 4 doesn't work magically. You have to practice it. The PEA doesn't work magically. You have to practice it. And that is why within our course, we will give you the homework. You will write the answer. We will then check it for you. We will then discuss it in class for you on how you could have better written it, how you could have better approached it. Then you write another set. My 25 questions are broken down set wise. We directly don't throw you into a 3-hour exam. No, it's broken down set wise. So slowly we'll introduce questions for you. You'll write them. You'll make mistakes. We'll point them out. You will refine your approach. Go again, go again, go again. This is how the 4 plus 4 plus 4 you get ready for in the exam. This is how the PEA you get ready for in the exam, because you are being tested on actual real exam questions. So how do I do my writing? That's the PE. That's where the PEA comes into the picture. Now CIMA's marking works a little bit differently in terms of the words. What I just explained for you, all of that stands true. But CIMA, if you look at any past marking schemes that are given by CIMA, any past marking aspects which are released by CIMA, you yourself will see that they mark based on levels. So what the examiner does is, the examiner will read your entire answer and then place it into level 1, level 2 or level 3. For example, the task is recommend with reasons how we should manage political risk, manage operational risk. Let's take political risk for example. So let's say in your answer you say that Kwirtmak should monitor the political environment in Excellent and take steps to manage the risks associated with operating there. Political risk can affect our company greatly, full stop. But now this is not wrong firstly, but it says nothing about Excellent situation. See, has the PEA been done over here? Ask yourself. This is pretty much just the P. There is no explanation, there is no application. So this is very generic. It could apply to any business. It's not related to Kwirtmak, it's not related to the scenario. So CIMA's examiner will say, okay, you are in level 1. You will get less marks, minimum marks. Second, let's say you told them a little bit more or you explained it a little bit more. So you said, okay, Kwirtmak should assess the political risks associated with operating in Excellent and put measures in place to manage them. Okay. So governments in some region can restrict access to technology and data. This could affect our ability to operate freely and may result in additional compliance costs. So you took it one step forward, explained it a little bit. But it's still a generic answer. There is no reference to the advanced material facility, to carbon fiber, to CAD systems, to the loss of design data. All of that information which they had given you in the question or any information about Kwirtmak from the pre-scene is not present. So again, this is level 2. So pretty much you did the P, you did little bit of the E, because the complete E of explanation was also not done because you didn't include a lot of stuff from the question. So examiner will say that you are in level 2. That okay, you explained it a little bit, you went in the right direction, but not solid explanation and no application. So you are in level 2, your marks will be little bit higher than level 1. Then comes level 3, which I already showed you. They said recommend, so I am recommending. Starts with the recommendation. Recommend active management and engagement with regulators and compliance management. This is where you use the Excellent, the advanced material facility, the carbon fiber, CAD designs, digital systems, all of the information from the question, information about Kwirtmak, exactly answering the task. This is anchored to Kwirtmak's specific situation. Hence, this is level 3. So the takeaway is, I already introduced this for you. If you look at it, just logically, you will see that if you follow the PEA approach rigorously, automatically your answers will move towards level 3. Automatically your point will be level 3, your marks will be level 3. So the technical way of calling it and how CIMA calls it is level 1, 2 and 3. But if you do the 4 plus 4 plus 4 solid planning, and then if you follow the PEA for each point, automatically you will achieve level 3. But this, because it's CIMA wording, because it's CIMA calls it this way, it becomes our job to introduce it for you. And we have introduced it, but our PEA writing framework, Finntutors writing framework already covers this. So always remember, when you write something, ask yourself, okay, have I written the point? Great. Have I explained it using information from the question? Then how does this matter for Kwirtmak? What for Kwirtmak? That's your application, pre-seen. So if you do your PEA, practice for every point, by the time of the exam arrives, you will automatically be in a very good space, ready to tackle whatever they throw at you. See, if you don't know all of this and on exam day you're just randomly moving here, there and everywhere with thoughts, it's not going to be a good approach. Prepare in such a way that when the timer starts in the exam, you know what to do. Just to show you a sample marking scheme. So we create marking schemes like this for all of our questions, and CIMA also creates marking schemes like this for all of the questions in the exam. There is no one marking scheme because every single question is different. So there is no one single pattern or one single marking scheme to follow. Every question is different, so every marking scheme is different, and hence there is no clear direct guideline from CIMA that you need to write this much to get your marks. So that is why we created the ballpark figure of one well explained point gives you 4 marks. So essentially for task 1, we need 2 points for managing operational risk, 2 points for political risk. Each point will be worth 4 marks. So if you only identify the risk, I'll give you 1 mark. It's level 1. If you identify it and explain it a little bit, I'll give you level 2. So 2 marks. If you recommend how to manage operational risk, if you link it to the situation, if you apply it to Kwirtmak, you will fall within level 3. You will get 3 to 4 marks depending on how you write it, how you explain it. This is 1 point. Same way you'll do another point for operational risk. Same way you'll do another point for political risk. Another point for political risk, that's your 4 points completed, and that's your total 16 marks for task 1. Same way you'll then move to task 2, which was about arguments for treating cybersecurity as a strategic issue. After task 1 is completed, that's only half the job. Then you move to task 2. So you see, this exam is not about learning everything that's there in the textbook. Was any of this there in the textbook? No, the textbook only helped you revise what operational risk means, what political risk means. The pre-seen gave you knowledge about the company. But all of this comes together with writing practice, writing style, and extensive writing practice. Because without that, knowing how to use the 60 minutes well becomes a nightmare. And that's where students, don't pass. Students don't pass because, students fail because not that they don't know the material, but rather they don't know how to reach level 3. They've not practiced level 3. They've not practiced PEA. They've not practiced planning. They've not practiced mock questions. And not reading mock questions. Actually practicing is where the difference makes. And that's why we commit to live classes. And all of our students are working professionals. So don't feel that my course is, over extensive or overly asking your commitment. No. Students are working professionals. They are meant, or rather they are going to essentially, go through the same work stress. So we try to create what is important, help you focus on what is important, help you practice on what is important. So within minimum time, you get maximum results. Now, common mistakes are the ones which I kept in my mind when I created this interactive guide. Because I know the mistakes, the mindsets that students go through. I know that, this is the area where students face a problem. And that is why I created this course or interactive guide surrounding these mistakes only. So I know that students write generically instead of applying it to the company. That is why I introduced the Finntutors planning framework, writing framework for you, and I explained what level 1, 2 and 3 means. I know that students, forget the command verb. That is why I have a full page on it. What discuss means, recommend means, identify means. You need to understand the verb. You understand the verb, you'll be able to give a better answer. I know that students misallocate time across subtasks. They don't understand how much to write. That is why I gave you the focus of, okay, one well explained point is giving you 4 marks. Total question 33 marks. Divide accordingly. I saw that students are facing a problem in planning. They feel that, okay, time is less. So without doing anything else, they just start writing. Looking at the question, they start writing. I don't think that's a good approach. You need to have a solid 4 plus 4 plus 4 plan. Understood the 7 things that we spoke about, knowing the question, task, how much to write, all of that, reference material, all of that. And then understand that each point needs to be 5, 6, 7 well explained sentences, because that will essentially move you to level 3, level 3, level 3 every time. So I've kept all of these mistakes which students keep repeating in my mind, and after that I have created this entire interactive guide for you so that you essentially succeed. So we have a lot of questions on what I should do. What is my study plan? What should my plan be? What I should focus on? What I should not be focusing on? See, I've already laid out the parts of this exam for you, start to end. My first aspect is, see, we have a lot of students who do this exam with 4 weeks of prep, and even 3 weeks of prep have been successful. At different stages, when you sign up with us, we will give you the instruction on what to focus on, what to do first, what to do second, what to do third. So don't worry about that. But my course generally starts with a 6-7 week study plan. So if you're taking the exam in August, my course would start first week of July. So the entire July and the first 2 weeks of August is where the course will run. So 6-7 weeks of good prep makes a flexible exam approach. But that doesn't mean that you definitely need to give 6-7 weeks. We have had students who've done it in 4 and 3 as well. Optimistically, we have had few students do it in 2 weeks also. But their backgrounds differ. Some come from FLP, exemptions, some come from, already having taken the exam. So depending on your background, we will help you out accordingly. But this is a standard plan which we tend to follow. So in the first week, we first expect everybody to start by understanding what this exam is, which is pretty much what I've covered within this video. And when you sign up for one of our study courses, we introduce you much more deeper to what my notes are, how to use the notes, what the blueprints are, what the, everything much more detailed. So first step is to understand the nature of this exam. Understand in and out about what this exam is, the exam structure, the exam layout. Spend time here. Start with this, what the exam is, what the blueprints are, what the core areas are. That's what you have to start on. Once you have started to understand what the exam is, what the blueprints are, and you have begun your revision on the blueprints, then you start to pick up the pre-scene. So we have a lot of students who tell us, okay, first I'm going to master my E3, P3 and F3 knowledge, and then I will pick up the pre-scene. And then by the time they pick up the pre-scene, the exam is 3 weeks away. So now in these 3 weeks, you have to learn a lot about writing, some revision again, going through the pre-scene, learning from your mocks, learning from model answers. It's not an ideal position. From the early beginning itself, if you first understand what this exam is, you will know that technical knowledge only helps you start your answer. So, okay, focus on the blueprints, focus on the technical knowledge, but then side by side, start knowing about your company. Start knowing about the depth of your company. Because if you don't know your company, what use is that technical knowledge of? Now, when you're studying with us, we have a full detailed 3-hour pre-scene analysis which picks out important E3, P3 and F3 topics, themes, everything related to your company gets covered. If you're self-studying, when you go through the pre-scene, go through it line by line, understanding your company, understanding the weaknesses, the strengths, the opportunities for your company, even in the financials. Everything in the pre-scene is important and it is there for a reason. Do not skip it. So while you continue your revision side by side, start with the pre-scene. Both go hand in hand. So take time, 1.5 weeks, spend time with the pre-scene, spend time doing your revision. The first 2-3 weeks you need to work on the basics of this exam, where we go through the pre-scene, where you go through the revision, where you keep your revision knowledge on par, and you also focus a little bit more on the financials of the pre-scene. Because in the strategic case study exam, the important topics that I gave you, just quickly going back to the important topics, while going through the pre-scene, think about how these topics relate to your company. So you started with knowing your exam, you started with the pre-scene. While going through the pre-scene, you are thinking about how these topics, which are on your screen given to you, relate to your company. So essentially your knowledge is being covered, important topics are being related, you're understanding your company, all of that's happening in a great way. In my twice a week live lessons, I introduce mock question writing for you. I introduce how to use all of this knowledge. So we are there for you, throughout if you are part of our course. And then the final 3 weeks, we only recommend writing mistakes, refine this process, writing mistakes, refine this process, discuss the issues, discuss the problems, show you your markings, show you your corrections, writing, repeat. So when this keeps going on in repeat and you have covered the base of your exam, then you are using mocks well. Then you are getting prepared for the strategic case study exam, because you're writing in a timed environment, you're writing in a pressured environment, you are learning from this approach, and all of this helps you arrive fresh into the exam, not frantic. So we finished the course to give you enough time, enough freshness, enough flexibility to make sure that you pass this exam. So this interactive guide doesn't stop there. It keeps on giving. And that is bringing me to the practice questions section. So I am giving you 5 of my 25 mock questions, which are specifically created for Kwirtmak, exactly like the exam, pattern of the exam, system of the exam, to help you practice the PEA, the 4+4+4, reaching level 3, 5 to 6 sentences per point. We are actually helping you practice because we have practice mode available for you. Let's toggle it on, and when you click on the practice mode, it actually raises the question for you. It gives you the reference material, and then it gives you a space to actually practice the question, actually write out the question, and after you write it out, you have the chance to compare it to the model answer, to how we have written it, how we have presented it. Now there is no one way of writing a correct answer. So don't feel that just because your answer is separate to the model answer, it's wrong. No. What we want you to see is how the model answer is written, how it's explained, how it's related to the question, how we write 5-6 sentences per point, how we explain each aspect. That's what we want to look at through the model answers. So okay, you read the question. It gives you 4+4+4. Fine, you did your planning, you did your how much to write. Then actually type out your first task answer. Time yourself in 60 minutes. Type out the first task and the second task. After 60 minutes are done, That's when you reveal the model answer and you carefully go through the model answer to see how we have written it, how we are presenting it. Because actually writing is what will help you. And see, the feedback is where where our course sets the entire goal or course for you. Because reading the model answer is half the job. Getting marked yourself is, again, half the job. But when a tutor is marking it for you, when we are providing guidance to you, when we are telling you what is right, wrong with suggested answers, model answers, that's when the real learning happens, and that is where students actually, have that learning curve. And then each of these questions you'll see are on important core areas, important topics which keep coming up. See, ethics, risk, interest rate, suitability, acceptability, feasibility. Interest rates again, a shortage in your materials, political risk, cyber risk. All of these are important topics, and exactly like the exam, we have created them for you with suggested answers, model answers to help you. So you got to take this opportunity and seize this opportunity to make sure that you time yourself for 60 minutes, actually write out the answer, actually practice the PEA, the 4 plus 4 plus 4, and then compare it to the model answer to see where the learning is happening. So everything in one place was promised by the interactive guide, and everything in one place has been delivered for you through this interactive guide, and you will not find this level of free material, even material at for the strategic case study exam, laid out in such a good way, explained through a video, step by step introduced for you. So you can see that our commitment to help you pass is absolute. And if you get onto one of our study courses, you take your learning to a completely new and different level, because we take care of your entire exam prep from start to finish. So you made it this far. I want to give you something extra, which is a free gift, which is our free SCS mini course. Extended from the interactive guide, the mini course has further handpicked resources, has one marked mock exam. So you will write it for practice, we will mark it for you, check it for you, correct it for you exactly like the exam, and a whole bunch of other stuff within this free mini course. It's taking the interactive guide to the next level. It's still free. Try out the mini course. It has further case study specific resources for you and a free timed mock as well. It's free. Do try it out. If you've already found the material helpful, you don't have to wait. Go all in for one of our study courses, because it will include twice a week live lessons, 25 mock questions, our study notes which are coded to the blueprints, to the I can statements, and most importantly, our new overall developed AI tools. See, Fin AI and the revision bot which we have created, a lot of, you'll see a lot of this going on now. We have introduced this over 3 years ago. So it has refined over 3 years. It has become a great tool over 3 years to help you revise in a quick, easy way by asking simple questions. It gives you answers related to your pre-scene, related to your CIMA syllabus, and we show you how to best use it. It's not ChatGPT. It's not Copilot, not Gemini, nothing else. It's created by us, trained on CIMA material. So Fin AI is going to be a game changer for you, and we'll show you how to use it. It's part of our study courses already. So if you found all of this helpful, you got to extend it by choosing to sign up to one of our study courses. We have multiple options for you depending on what works for you. We have the on-demand pack, which has 15 mock questions, which are divided set-wise, and live class recordings. All the other material remains the same. Or we have the full course pack, which has 25 mock questions, divided set-wise, twice a week live lessons. The other materials remain the same. Or if you want a completely personalized approach, we have a one-on-one coaching pack, which is one-on-one, you and me, live in class, every aspect introduced for you. Now we are confident, and each of our study courses come with a pass guarantee attached. I can guarantee you will go into the exam confident, ready, prepared if you follow the course. So if you follow the course, no matter what marks you get in the exam, certain tutors will say that you should get this mark or that mark. We are confident that if you follow the course, you follow our set mock exams, you follow the course, you follow the live lessons, complete the course, and then you sit your exam. If you do not pass it, no questions asked, you get free access to the next attempt. So all you have to do is follow the course, follow the assignments, which we keep extremely flexible, which we will support you to complete. And if you do that, you will walk into the exam hall confident. And I feel that's a great place to be in. So get onto one of our study courses or join our WhatsApp group where you can directly reach me. We have live discussions, weekly exam tips, pre-scene breakdowns, everything keeps going on in my free WhatsApp community anyways. So if you sign up with us, you get access to my students community. If not, you still have access to the free WhatsApp community which you can join and you can still ask me questions. We are happy to assist you. I hope you find this interactive guide helpful, and for any questions, do reach out. We look forward to seeing you on one of our courses. Thank you.